Yeah. 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 Memories. Memories.
Feel my heart, it's beating. Oh, my body's breathing. It's just you and me. Feel my heart, it's beating. Oh, my body's breathing. It's just you and me. I'm so caught in this, we're so lost deep in it, can't stop. I'm forever the one you call. Let's free fall. I'm so caught in this, we're so lost deep in it, can't stop. I'm forever the one you call. Let's free fall. 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 I'm so caught in this, we're so lost deep in it, can't stop. I'm forever the one you call. Let's free fall. Feel my heart, it's beating. Oh, my body's breathing. It's just you and me. Feel my heart, it's beating. Oh, my body's breathing. It's just you and me. I'm so caught in this, we're so lost deep in it, can't stop. I'm forever the one you call. Let's free fall. I'm so caught in this, we're so lost deep in it, can't stop. I'm forever the one you call.
Sitting in a 4v3.
Everfrog Esports trying to find an angle they can, trying to find somebody out of position.
We're gonna go through on this. Oh, what a wall. We're gonna take flag. White gonna go in.
It's going to be a really, really interesting one.
Oh my god. All of this competition could be so damn close, so I cannot wait for us to finally decide who's going to be the champion. We are expecting some chaos, some great moments.
Beast Mode has killed 3. Only gonna really need that rampage, so it's gonna clear it out. Santi gonna get themselves a big old 4K. Santi's getting rid of 3, clearing out the house.
That is crazy.
Nunji actually kills 3 people.
This team feels entirely different on this faster composition. Now Cyberport is hanging around, getting onto the high ground. Post bomb's gonna stick under Leaky. They're not gonna be able to survive it at the end of the day. Manages to find a 3K.
Rio shoving this Lana into a corner. Woo! One more for the road for Rio. That is all signs go. Melophobia with 3 Melophobia. Start the fight. They'll end the fight. Oh my god. Beagle Bus, they have to play aggressively into this energy, popping off in a moment where you needed just that. Ruby in that backline. Oh, the flick. Looking for it. Oh my goodness. The fourth one as well. Do they get the 8? They get the 8.
After many weeks, after regular season, mid-season, and now the playoff bracket, we have made it to our grand finals for the North American Open Division for Season 16 of CGL. And who better than to have met here in grand finals than Boop Troop and Primordius Rising. Really a fantastic journey that these two teams have kind of showcased to us, not just in the regular season, but also in playoffs, right? So Shadowfang, we've seen the bracket, we've seen how it has kind of opened up itself to finding us at this grand finals. And let's get a quick little reminder on how their journey has started from the first round all the way to now.
You know, it's been two different journeys that are also kind of the same in a sense. Boop Troop just basically running through the entire tier for really the entirety of the season, if we can be honest about it. It's just really 3 O's after 3 O's, and that's continued throughout the playoffs. Primordius, a very different story where they've had, I believe, 3 losses over the course of the season. One of those more mid-table teams. You can see they lost 3-0 to the Zodiacs. They go down to the lower bracket and just straight domination all the way through, having 3 O's of their own, the 3-1 to Tarnished, and then eventually beating the Zodiacs 3-0 as well. And they got swept by the Zodiacs like both times they played them this season. So it's very much an underdog story, David versus Goliath, if you will, because Boop Troop has been this pure dominant team all season, and Primordius is just trying to pull it out the mud, if you will.
No, for real. Like, this bracket is very much a fantasy to if you look at it just as it is. Primordius Rising coming in from basically the ashes and rising back up to the occasion for grand finals up against Boop Troop. Again, it is no longer best of 5, first to 3. They have up to 7 games to duke it out and solidify who will be the winner of Season 16, especially in the NA Open. Mind you, having that prize pool of $2,000, right? So it's a lot, or in total, between first and second place. It's a lot to work towards. And as we go back to us, that's not all we have in store for you guys for this stream today. We have some very special guests coming through, going to give us some words of wisdom, some familiar faces, right, as we do start pulling in some of our favorites coming in. We have 2 people we're going to talk to real quick who were also competitors in the NA Open match. So I would love to introduce Last Night coming up on deck here from Requiem, right? So as you can see, Last Night, I hear you join the lobby, or the voice chat. And I have to say, how are we feeling? All good?
Low key, I'm doing good. You kind of scared me. I was mid combo.
Oh, I'm not bad, but I have it's good news. It's good news.
You're good.
I will have to say, first and foremost, the first thing we gotta announce is the NA Open Manager Award. And hold on, Queen, because runner-up, I will say, runner-up was Pika Pepper from Tarnished. So Last Night, you know what that means, right? You were voted the best manager in the NA Open division. And big congratulations to you.
Yippee! This is so awesome sauce.
And I want to ask you one quick little question. What do you think sets you apart from other managers, maybe? And on that note, would you like to give any advice for any up-and-coming managers for other teams?
Oh, I mean, I'll say for sure it's the reaching out as soon as you can and being as understanding and try to settle for the best dates. Don't try to be too stubborn. Be reasonable, because you never know what might be going on the other team's side. You know, some players might have some IRL situations and they physically can't come that day, so just be understanding.
Yeah, the journey, it's all about compassion and empathy, and that's why, again, congratulations, you being voted the best manager in NA Open. Thank you so much.
Yippee!
I know it's a little surprise. Thank you for your time. Thank you for jumping in and accepting the award, and we'll see you guys later. Have a good one.
You too, you too.
Love it, love it, love it, love it.
Yeah, you gotta love to see the enthusiasm and just the willingness to really share some of that knowledge, what makes a really good manager. You know, setting up, really getting those dates set as soon as possible is just so key. You know, so it's always great when you have someone that's immediate to respond to you and just really on top of it, on top of their P's and Q's. So you love to see it. This is going to lead us into our next award, which is going to be the NA Open Tier Coach of the Year. And runner-up for that is going to be Sir Likens from Shiko no Kaiji Red. And then the winner, as you can see right below on the screen, is going to be Trapeze from the Zodiacs.
Yay!
No surprise there. Zodiacs has been an incredibly strong team all season, so it makes perfect sense that their coach would be recognized in a moment like this. Like I said, it's really been Zodiacs and Boop Troop near the top of the tier all season, so I'm not super surprised to see Zodiac's coach winning this award.
Yes, congratulations to the Zodiacs, your coach, really putting in the work, and I'm sure we'll see you guys again in your future endeavors, especially with, of course, Trappist right there leading you guys to that victory, leading you guys with that amazing coaching that has been provided, right? So with that being said, there is, of course, more going on, right? Not all of these are going to have interviews. Whoever was free, whoever wasn't, it is almost scrim time for most teams, so I definitely understand. Now, moving on for our next award is the NA Open Rookie Award here. We are going to see our runner-up, first and foremost, going to be Amnesia from Tarnished here. Beautifully done from Amnesia. And from the side of Boop Troop themselves, who are playing in the grand finals today, we have Jeremy87 taking that NA Open Rookie Award. Beautifully done, Jeremy, and I cannot wait to see you really play today and bring that award home in your gameplay.
And I'm sure it will be just continued dominance from the side of Boop Troop. You know, maybe we'll see a little more head up with some of these players from Primordius Rising. You know, as we were saying, it's been a real come up. They're rising, if you will, since it fits right in with their name. But with that being said, now we're going to move on to the Tank Roll Star Award here for the Open Tier. And we should have kept last night in here a little bit longer, because the runner-up for this award was actually last night from Requiem. So you're very familiar with last night. Saw him a few minutes ago. Pretty cool person, I would say, Kudos. But the winner of the award is going to be Mari from Boop Troop. Once again, I can't stress enough how great this team Boop Troop is. I feel like we're kind of harping on it, but they're getting their sweep on in here with these awards. So, what can we say? But Mari, very flexible tank player, able to play everything to an incredibly high level. You have to have that if you're going to be the top team in Open Tier. And, you could just see exactly why they're such a good team.
Oh, 100%. I mean, they, as you said, they swept through these awards. They're sweeping through the winner bracket, and ideally they want the same thing in the grand finals, right? So, again, congratulations to Mari from Boop Troop. And now going into our Damage Roll Star for Season 16 of CGL NA Open. Runner-up is Maple from Sub Sun. Congratulations, Maple, for getting the runner-up award of the Damage Roll Star. And, of course, once again, another sweep coming in from Boop Troop. We have Consta coming in and swooping that award as the Damage Roll Star of the season. Absolutely, again, congratulations to Consta once more. And again, we're about to see these guys put the pedal to the metal and show us why they were voted these Roll Star awards on their respective roles.
Yeah, all I can say is, it definitely looks like the right team made grand finals based on the awards that we're seeing so far. Very, very strong team, very flexible, able to play everything. Again, it's hard not to just continue singing their praises when they're, taking the awards just back to back like this. This leads us into the support Roll Star, though. which, starting off with the runner-up, we're going to have Water from Requiem. And then our winner is going to be, you guessed it, Rajim from Boop Troop. So Rajim, very strong support player, never has a bad ult, never gets Ajaxed from what I've seen at least, very important. So it's very key and can give you a big advantage in these fights when you have just that little bit more. It can give you just all the advantage in the world.
100% Regime. Congratulations for taking that support role star award. And that again leads us into our last two categories. Now we're going to take over the MVP of the season of the NA Open, right? So not just one, not two, but three names are on this list. My runner-up, in technically second place, third place, we have, again, last night coming up here from Requiem once more as a MVP nominee. And now this is the real kicker, everybody. We have not just Boop Troop once again coming through with the MVP award to Purple Salmon, but Purple Salmon needs to kind of fight it out against Captain Crunch, who has also been nominated for that #1 spot, that MVP role from Primordius Rising. So how fitting that our grand finals, it comes down to our two MVP nominees here to kind of fight it out and really showcase who will get that true MVP spot. But in all seriousness, congratulations to both Captain Crunch and Purple Salmon for snagging up that MVP award from the Open Division.
I mean, clearly well-deserved from what I can see. I mean, both teams made the finals here. They're ready to go up against each other. Captain Crunch has been incredibly good every time I've seen them play. Very strong tank player. And Purple Salmon, you know, what else can we say about Boop Troop at this point? But they're just incredibly strong at every single role. That's how you go the whole season, not really losing a map. You're strong on everything. And so, yeah, kudos and congratulations again to everybody on Boop Troop taking all these awards last night, and Trapeze as well. So, and Captain Crunch, you know, can't leave out Captain Crunch there. But we still do have one last award to bring up here, and I do believe we're going to have somebody in the call for this one as well.
Yep.
Maple, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Awesome. Well, welcome, Maple. And the award that you actually got voted for was the Fish Award, which is our sportsmanship award, essentially, where it's like, you know, the staff just votes on people who have fantastic sportsmanship, and it goes to the entirety of Subsun.
Oh, thank you.
No, of
We tried our best
course.
to be very kind.
No, not only that, you guys got your matches like, you know, Fish is very, very particular about scheduling your matches, right? You guys always had it scheduled relatively on time. You guys are always show up to your matches, always respectful, always a pleasure to talk to both on the broadcast, in CGL, the Twitch channel, the Discord. You guys were always such sweethearts and really to showcase that sportsmanship that really all the staff really applauded. So thank you so much, Maple, for taking the award on behalf of Subsun, and really just keep it up.
Of course, we'll continue to be a positive influence in the community.
Absolutely, and thank you so much for your time once again. I know usually it's like scrim time right now, so if we're holding you hostage, feel free to go to your scrim.
Thank you.
No problem. Have a good one.
You too.
All right, and with that being said, we have now gone through all of our awards. Congratulations to all of my runner-ups, all of my role stars, all of my best coaches, my best managers, and of course Subsun for snagging up that Fish's award. Honestly, the most prestigious award we have at CGL from Fish. So with that out of the way, Shadow, we are now ready, locked and loaded, to finally get into the serious business here. First of 4, best of 7 territory for grand finals between Boop Troop and Primordius Rising. And while we were yapping, our teams were getting their maps in order. As you predicted earlier, between you and me, looks like we are seeing that map 1 come through. Looks like it's going to be Lijiang Tower once again.
I mean, 0 people were surprised at what just happened. You know what I mean? Like, nobody was shocked here. Lijiang Tower, I personally think it's the best control map in the game. That's my personal preference. I am the person that likes all the maps that everybody else is tired of playing. I'm that person. So I'm really excited to see where this is going to go. Map 1, I think if you're Primordius Rising, you need to come out really strong here. And you need to try and figure out a really good ban here. I'm not sure what that could potentially be since Boop Troop is so good on everything. But you need to come out incredibly strong on map 1 and just set that tone. Just show Boop Troop they're not just going to walk over you.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Boop Troop, they are the ones that hire seats. They did get the map selection here in their favor, and to have us go to Lijiang Tower, again, very, very classic, I would say, for most of our teams, not just in the NA Open, but really all throughout all of our divisions, right? You only see maybe a handful of Ilios, definitely a handful of Nepal get chosen, maybe, right? So with that being said, let's get back to us real quick and talk about, as you mentioned, bans and possibilities of what could come out here, right? Shadowfang, you and I both know very well that the patch did just drop 6 hours ago. So very much some things change. I don't think the greater meta is really going to shift all that much from here on now, and I doubt our teams are really going to change the game plan up only 6 hours post-patch.
And the patch honestly was a real nothing burger. I felt like there were things that changed, but like, you know, Reaper having a little bit less lifesteal isn't going to stop you from running the Zarya Reaper comp if you were going to run the Zarya Reaper comp, or if you were going to run out on some Malga shenanigans. You know, it doesn't change the core of how to play Reaper. It doesn't change the reason that people were playing Reaper. So I don't expect too much to change here, but I am looking forward to seeing what is Boop Troop going to do with their first ban potentially, because I'm always of the side of I do not have any idea what's going to happen on the map 1 bans, because it's kind of just a crapshoot almost, you know. You're just kind of taking a guess, a shot in the dark for the most part, unless you know this other team like the back of your hand.
Yeah, that's my thing. You're really trying to feel out what the other team are kind of defaulting to in their bans, and more often than not, Lijiang Tower is one of those where you can ban out a couple of really solid heroes. Pharah, it comes to mind. Symmetra especially comes to mind. Even Echo has been relatively strong in her own right, and yeah, just as I had predicted, just kind of banning out a very solid character who plays Lijiang Tower very well in her favor. Symmetra, I think, from Boop Troop is not only a really smart ban, but it's also a safe ban, right? They protect all their DPS they maybe want to play, and they can also make sure you're not going to be able to set up on that Nightmaker or on that Gardens easily with the Sim Teleport.
It is definitely a really safe ban. I mean, we saw all through the OWCS Championship that Symmetra can be an incredibly strong, powerful pick. So let's get it out of here, especially on a map where it can be really good. You don't have to be creative to be good at Symmetra on this map. There are other maps you got to be creative if you're going to be good at Symmetra. Lijiang Tower is not one of those maps. Primordius Rising, now having their ban, I think you're safe with a Kiriko, you're safe with a Lucio, you're safe with like getting a Ram out, getting Orisa out of here. Maybe, I don't think you go for a Wrecking Ball ban. Zarya, that's another one that's a really solid pick here. You know, get the Zarya out of here, force the two teams to just run Ramatra at each other, potentially.
Absolutely, and the Zarya ban coming through is honestly, again, another safe ban, right? Like, the Sim ban inadvertently protects a couple of the DPS they may want to play, but Zarya, as you mentioned, they're not gonna stop playing Zar Reaper because Reaper has 25% lifesteal instead of 30%, right? Like, that's not really the big gotcha moment from the Blizzard devs. So Zarya being a ban here definitely warranted, especially I believe Zarya didn't really get any adjustments. Really didn't get adjustments to her bubble, didn't get adjustments to her charge per second. Nothing like that was really affected, right? So with this Zarya ban coming out, it just kind of makes the brawl a little bit more tolerable from both of these teams here. And speaking of both teams, we have our lineups ready and locked and loaded. From the winner's side, a perfect 3-0 from round 1 all the way to grand finals. We have Boop Troop coming up on deck here. We have Consta and Jeremy once again on that DPS line. We're gonna have Molly, Ghostin, and Salmon as well. Molly, of course, she will be playing that Hazard, that ideally the tank here, and then Ghostin and Salmon on that back line playing. Ideally, the BAP, the Wuyong, we might see some play here, but we might just kind of default towards the coveted Kiri, the Lucio, the Wuyong, things like that.
Yeah, I definitely am siding with like Kiri Lucio being primarily what we end up seeing today. But moving on to the other team we're going to be having coming out here is Primordius rising up from the bottom, if you will. We're going to have Sorks and Galaxy running that DPS line with Cap and Crunch on that tank. And then you got Daddy and Spec on that support line. I mean, you know, it's going to be tough, but you do have the two MVPs essentially going against each other tonight, as we saw from seeing those awards handed out earlier. So you got a moment here. You got a moment here, Cap and Crunch and Salmon, where you can duke it out for the MVP, not directly as one's support and one's tank, but you know, we should still see some fireworks fly.
Absolutely. It's going to be, again, the battle of the MVPs is what I love that it's both of them. I love that they're both in grand finals. I love that it's a battle between two whole different roles. So this is going to be a really fun one. I will say, in fact, I will say this should be a really fun series, right? Boop Troop and Primordius Rising. Boop Troop are looking very good. They're looking very confident, knowing that they're walking into this basically undefeated in the winner's side of the bracket. And Primordius Rising having almost the same song and dance. One loss and then a beautiful blowout through the lower side, right? To get to that grand final spot. And again, Lijiang Tower, Zara, Symmetra both banned out. Beam characters are not in play here, so it really depends on where we start. If we start Control Center, this could heavily shift in favor of Primordius Rising, who love to play that Ramatra Brawl, right? But if we see a Night Market, if we see a Gardens first as round one, maybe Boot Troop might get a little bit more of an advantage with their more flexible compositions, especially if they want to run that hazard we had seen in the favorite character image screen scene. There we go.
Yeah, you got it.
I got it.
And I mean, even if Hazard isn't necessarily what we see, we could see Diva too.
Yes.
And I think I liked that because that was the matchup that we saw a lot, right? Some teams like playing that Diva, some teams like playing that Ramatra. It just depends on what your more preferred playstyle is. Are you more into the upfront brawl? Well, at this rank, a lot of it just has to do with the fact that Ramatra can hold his hands up and stay alive for a very long time. It's that's the big thing, and it's the same thing while you play in Diva. You know, Defense Matrix can just deny so many cooldowns and so much damage coming into your team that you do tend to opt for that a lot of the time too. As we get one more look at our rosters here, getting ready to go into this map shortly.
100%. And again, heads to heads here, that these are the 10 players. Again, Captain Crunch competing for the MVP spot. I love that so much. It's just so funny to me. But, excuse me. In the meantime, we're loading into Lijiang Tower slowly but surely. Our teams are getting themselves ready. They are loading in, and now we're finally assembling our heroes. I think I actually went back to the screen. Okay, I lied. We're going back to the lobby right now to fix some things. Of course, patch notes, it messes everything up. Thanks, Blizzard. Small indie company, so we gotta fix a couple of things on our end. But I mean, it's a first of 4. There's so much room to work with. There's so much flexibility, so much time to adapt for both of our rosters here. And now finally loading into Lijiang soon enough. And Primordius Rising, they have their work cut out for them. You mentioned it earlier. It's an underdog story for the ages.
It absolutely is, and I mean, I said it a little bit earlier as well. You need to come out strong on this first map. Really you got to put something akin to fear into Boop Troop. I'm not going to say that they're necessarily going to be afraid if they lose Control Center starting off this map, right? But you need to show them that you can keep pace with them. Because right now, Boop Troop, I remember I did an interview with them after the winners finals. They were really feeling themselves. They don't expect to be challenged in any way, shape, or form in this game. So you have to show them that you can challenge them before they believe that you can.
I mean, you can see some characters already hovering over who have gotten their own nerfs and and buffs recently. Molly herself is looking over at Sigma, who did get a 10 damage increase from 15 to 25 to that primary damage, right? So Mari should be able to kind of contest a little bit more with that Ramatra, a little bit more, that damage output, of course, the back line getting a little bit more sensitive, especially to that damage increase from the Sigma. And look at this. I mean, Molly, she's just going straight into the front line, forcing out that lamp from Daddy early on, and now she's just forcing these guys back into this hallway. Salmon, in the meantime, the headshot onto Galaxy, it does connect easily, forcing the Chaser back, even more so forcing out that Lucio, but Captain Crunch does come in as the MVP, or nominee of the MVP, comes through, finds the pummels onto Molly, but while that happens, the rest of the team are starting to go down, mostly to Consta's Cassidy.
Yeah, Consta showing. Wait a minute, Cap'n Crunch getting the 2 kills on both the DPS. Cap'n Crunch having an MVP moment here, trying to flip this point.
I'm saying, bro is feeling it. We're feeling it. The Captain Crunch Ramatra does not stay to play. Spec does get out, tries to rotate over to the high ground, or to the staircase here. And mind you, we're about maybe a minute into this initial fight, and only now is there a cap from Primordius Rising. Going to be able to get so much value. They almost have the Annihilation also online here. Daddy and Spec both only a quarter needed to get to the respective ultimates. But Salmon, some way, somehow, will be able to proc that Kitsune Rush early on, and is able to at least help out our Cassidy, at least in the face of this overclock from the high ground coming in from Sword. Now, this should be enough to at least put some pressure onto the opposing side of Boop Troop, and even more so, it does, right? And Molly does proc that Flux. LOS is the Soldier, and here's the Deadeye from Galaxy. Does it find any heads? No, but it does force a quick flip here for Primordius.
I mean, you can't be mad at that, right? That's good value. Deadeye usually isn't going to get kills like that, so you managing to flip the point at least is some good value, and you continue to just kind of force the point here in your favor. If your Daddy popping that amplification matrix, Primordius Rising coming into that sound barrier, they're going to need it here.
They are. Here it is. What a sleep from Salmon. Beautifully done from Boot Troop, really lining up that Deadeye to work so beautifully against Captain Crunch. But again, mind you, Shadow, they've only been able to garner about half of the objective, and only now they flip it.
And Primordius Rising doing a great job of just not giving that point up until they're all dead. It's a really small thing, but that's the reason that Boop Troop does not have that much charge right now. They do have the Tectonic Shock online, but Spec has a sound barrier available for them to engage in this fight.
And Spec is going to use it offensively, and I mean, it's going to end up in a trade-off. Galaxy or Consta for Galaxy or Molly, right? So it does allow Captain Crunch to walk on that back line, the sensitive back line of the Ana. We see Jeremy does push out the Baptiste off of the high ground. New little icon here for the environmental. That's really cute. But Primordius Rising easily retakes the objective, and now looking so good, more than halfway through to full completion.
They are looking good. Daddy swaps over to that Kiriko. Going to be key to deny those antis from Salmon. Salmon been doing a great job so far. Salmon and Molly about to come up on their ultimates as well. Galaxy going to have this Deadeye available early in this fight as well. I imagine they're going to use it just to give their team a little space.
Oh, another sleep happens, and even though Galaxy does use it on a beautiful high ground area, it's scouted out so quick, especially by Jeremy On the Venture, who, mind you, did get a slight nerf to their survivability, especially with their shields after every ability. But as we say, that is going to be Boop Troop finally finding another lease on life here, flipping it at 40% and now pushing super far up.
I feel like Galaxy had to watch this moment and then went top and immediately died with the Deadeye. Very unfortunate moment for Primordius Rising, but they are about to build up to their overclock, which can be very important here. Deadeye, and here comes the Gravitic Flux out from Boop Troop too.
Oh, it's beautiful. Right onto the Sojourn and the Lucio from Primordius Rising, who were only able to find a little bit of retreat in that corner, but then boom, it's just done and dusted. Only about 30% needed to get this first round for Boop Troop, and they have 2 ults to do it with.
Primordius Rising still has that overclock I mentioned before online. You're going to want to get this overclock off before Ghostin can get up to this sound barrier. That's the key exchange here. Galaxy getting that pick onto Jeremy is going to be huge for Primordius Rising, though.
It sure is. Deadeye comes in from console, however, and that means that no one wants to walk in, but the Nano onto the Deadeye finds Spec either way, and there's a rolling Cassie going to the Soldier and forcing him out of the fight. Now gonna be singling out the Kiriko, and yes, it results in a death. It results in really a lot of trade-offs here for Boot Troop and Primordius Rising, but Primordius will be able to flip it, and now we're at last fight territory, forcing some imperative swaps here from Boot Troop.
Mike, guess who was alive on point there capping it? It was Cap'n Crunch once again, making a ton of plays here. I can't help but notice it. You know, Primordius Rising set up to win this fight very well with a lot of ultimates.
Well, here it goes. Here's a high note coming from Galaxy on the opposite end. The spear does whiff on the Cassidy, but still, good sound barrier comes in from Ghost, and now trying to find something, especially in the face of the Annihilation from Cap'n Crunch. And the Tectonic Shock from Jeremy not only finds two, but we also forget about the objective. It gets back capped right under their noses, and they're already off the point. Primordius Rising lose the first round in such an unfortunate fashion.
That right there shows you the insane value of sound barrier. That sound barrier from Ghostin, I feel like at least, was the whole reason that Boop Troop was able to take that map right there. They popped the sound barrier. Jeremy's able to go incredibly deep on this venture with that Tectonic Shock and just get every shot onto all of the back line. And you just didn't have the sound barrier to match. You had a lot of ultimates if you were Primordius Rising, but you did not have the sound barrier. And not having sound barrier when the other team does, it just ended up being such a huge disadvantage for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so unfortunate, right? But you can't let that set you back whatsoever. We already have our map unlocking. We're rolling out towards the gardens here. And really, Primordius Rising are pretty much set up nicely with the Ramattra, now having Galaxy's Reaper in tow. On the meantime, Jeremy on the angle, always, whether it's Venture, whether it's Farah, they're always on that angle, always finding somebody slipping away, and of course, we're going to get at least one, maybe even two from Primordius Rising before inevitably Boop Troop will be able to restabilize the objective and take it back in their favor. Oh my god.
I'll be the first to say I've never seen this before, and I really appreciate this. I appreciate what's happening right now. Coming into this next fight, though, Galaxy has swapped over to the Soldier 76 to try and get a little bit more pressure onto this Farah, potentially knock them out of the sky a little quicker. No ultimates really to speak of just yet as Sorks takes down Salmon.
Beautiful, beautiful, great rail shot from Sork, completely shutting down the other MVP nominee, right? So, with that being said, Galaxy, as mentioned, going to be using that Soldier to make people's life a little bit more difficult, right? So, with that being said, it's going to be a quick flip here for Primordius Rising. They do take the objective. Jeremy does go for the quick reset, and they just have to hold that while Boot Troop regain their forces.
I mean, just a great engage there from Primordius Rising, right? Sorks getting that early kill just pretty much stopped any hope of Boop Troop taking that fight, as Jeremy has swapped off of the Farah back onto this Venture. I think it's a smart play because that Soldier 76 was going to be a menace to try and get through.
Ooh, what a spear. I mean, mitigating the punches from the MSS form, forcing Cap'n Crunch to kind of hold block for for a very long time. Ooh, Jeremy, you almost... I will allow to use so hard, but it's okay. Primordius Rising losing Spec early from Consta, now trying to find another one onto the Soldier. But you're not going to go away, not today. But no one takes out the lamp. Daddy does help out, at least securing that securing Primordius Rising from dying to the Terror Surge, and they are able to stabilize during the fight. More so, they are going to be able to also flip the objective. No overtime stall from Boop Troop. They do want to just kind of regroup here. Mari does go to Doomfist, but I'm not sure if that's going to be real.
We'll see. I think there's some potential here. You could see a crazy play on this. You're probably just wanting to go after Galaxy or Sorks as hard as you can and just go all in on them. A lot of ultimates going to be available for both sides here. I have to imagine this overclock comes out at some point from Sorks and this Kitsune rush from Salmon.
Well, now look at this. They're really baiting at that backline, and Molly actually, again, on Doofus of all things, does take down that backline. Yo, we forgot that Doomfist is a character in this game! What a shutdown from Molly. Pretty much single-handedly shutting down the overclock and any positioning advantage from Primordius.
Yeah, and just like that, you're already 50% to that Meteor Strike as well. All that sweet, nice ult charge that you have available to you now. And you kept your Kitsune Rush online, so you have Kitsune advantage coming into this next fight. There is an Amplification Matrix and a Tactical Visor online, though, as Sorks takes down Mari.
Wonderful. Really good, right? Because Molly was getting a little bit too front-facing, right, on that back line, and thankfully, Sorks is right there to shut it down completely. Booptroop still, mind you, have control of the point, even though Primordius Rising did kind of falter in the fight a little bit here. They do need to go for a very quick touch, and they have to fight through the Titanic Shock first and foremost. The Titanic Shock does get rid of the lamp first and does bait out that sound barrier. No one spotting Molly, hiding away in the corner, now forcing Captain Crunch to only hold the block here while the Visor does go wide, but no one's really wanting to peek the soldier for good reason. Either way, no matter how we do it, no matter how it has to be done, Primordius Rising flip the objective, and Consta takes care of Galaxy. In the meantime, Molly forced to use her Meteor Strike here just to survive, and now looking at this Baptiste, and what a punch, what a shutdown, now just kind of finishing off the rest of the team here, and they do it with absolute fervor. No one can touch from Primordius, not even that Sombra. There's going to be a 2-0 in Lijiang Tower for Booptroop, and they take the first point on the board.
And I mean, I really feel like on that second point in particular, it was really the Doomfist. You just weren't ready for it, and then all your backline is just getting shot off the map constantly, right? That punch, that's the exact punch that we just saw moments ago happen. Also, like, it happened like 3 times in that exact same corner, and it's just tough when you've got a Doomfist with a full powered punch. You can't, it's very difficult to dodge with a player when a player of Molly's skill is running this character, especially on a point like that. We saw it in the play of the game. It manages to get the kill onto Cap and Crunch Daddy, and then both DPSs as well get shot off the side of the map. I mean, that's unfortunate, you know? You just feel bad in that moment. And there's not much you can really do about it. You have to play completely different now because the Doomfist is in play. And, you know, that's a hard switch to make in that moment if you're the side of Primordius Rising.
Yeah, it's really hard to kind of shift gears from playing against an Orisa and making sure you bait out her cooldowns and you really punish her when she doesn't have spin or fortify online. But then you have to, you gotta flip that into a Doomfist. Like, I didn't even know Molly was going to stay Doomfist. I thought it was made for a last-minute touch, especially because they lost the objective around the 90%, 80%, and 90% mark, and I thought she wanted to come in for a touch, but she believed. She was like, wait, I can just kind of environmental everybody who want to wrap around that coastline area, right? You always want you'll typically see your Sojas, your Baptiste, kind of hover around there anyway, and the amount of times that Molly was able to really take out Daddy early on that Baptiste is kind of phenomenal, right? And you know, once you lose your flex support, whether it's Kiriko, Baptiste, whomever, Ano, whomever, the fight is pretty much won unless there's like some intense comebacks being made mid-fight, but it's a tall order to ask for. So we're gonna shift gears, right? Off of Lijiang Tower, we have Primordius Rising solidifying their second map here, Shadow, and it's gonna be the town of Mid. We're going to New York City.
Midtown, the appropriately named map, as I always like to say. It's an incredibly mid map, but but no, it's an unexpected one, quite honestly, because most teams tend to opt for King's Row. So with me seeing Midtown here from Primordius Rising, I'm thinking they must feel incredibly confident in it. They must really like how their Ramatra comp is going to play on it. Or maybe they want to play like a Sigma-based composition, because I do feel like the Sigma poke works incredibly well on point number 1, but I really think that Primordius's ban is probably going to tell us a lot about where their minds are going into this next map.
Yeah, and this is where bans can really get more impactful, right? We were talking about how first map bans are always like feeling out the opposition, feeling out what you're comfortable on, what you don't want to play, and what works on that map specifically, hence the Tsar and that Symmetra. But now we can really get into the nitty-gritty. Who was giving you problems? What was not working? And what do you want to also protect here? If that's the lane you're going to with your ban here. Primordius Rising, of course, gonna have that first ban on deck, giving them a little bit of an advantage in the grand scheme of things. Now, with that being said, they did ban out Zarya early, and we could go for a strong, like, I mean, they could go for a Diva, they can go for a Ball, I mean, they can go for a Hazard, Ramatra, they could have really anything on the tank line. So I think going over to, yeah, I was going to say, going over to a DPS might be a little more impactful, especially Jeremy's Venture. Despite their nerfs, they're still very much a big, big hindrance in that back line.
Yeah, Jeremy was an absolute menace on that Venture time and time again. I mean, point one was Control Center was pretty much won just off of that Venture play, the sound barrier with the tectonic shock, and just int as hard as you possibly can into the backline with those 300% cooldowns. And we're seeing Boop Troop's ban come through here as well. They're going to go for the Kiriko ban, which is a solid, safe ban. You know, nothing too crazy there. Both teams were playing a little bit of it, but Boop Troop must have a composition in mind that they want to play that does not revolve around this Kiriko. Maybe potentially they want to play some Ana, not have that anti get mitigated as often, because we did see Salmon opt for that Ana a good bit on map number 1, and they were playing really well on it.
I think this is a multi-reasonal ban, right? You mentioned the ability to play Ana and not have to worry about Suzu, right? Beautiful, great. I also think this is also a way to force Daddy back on the Baptiste and really call Daddy out more often than not. Because really, the survivability of Baptiste, yeah, you have 3 life bars, of course, Shift, your regular life bar, and then Lamp. But if you're not really able to get out as quickly or as freely as Kiriko can, and which we saw Daddy did swap over to Kiriko multiple times to try to keep up with what was going on, to not get constantly singled out by whatever Boop Troop was playing. I think they want to force Daddy back on that Baptiste or back onto another flex support, maybe even forcing the Ana mirror, and I'm not sure, but I think it's a very multi-layered ban from Boop Troop that I do think is worth noting. On that note, we do have our head-to-head, and I don't think we have any swaps coming in. Yeah, everyone's staying right back in for these 10 players.
Yeah, no surprises there. With teams like this, usually they don't have many roster swaps. You tend to keep the same 5 players in all the time. You've all built up those synergies together, and it's really important to have that synergy on point coming into this match in particular, just because you need to know where each player is going to be before they go there, right? It's very key, and I am going to be curious to see if, like you said, Daddy is going to be coming in playing that Baptiste a little bit more, or if maybe there's another option here that we're just not thinking of. But that is a nice shout out to just really key in on the fact that they could just be wanting Daddy to play that Baptiste because of how much they were able to get punched out by Doomfist continuously throughout the entirety of map 1.
Yeah, either Doomfist or Rissa Spear. Just the pressure is going to be put on Daddy's Baptiste series, and honestly, that's kind of what I'm expecting to see. But things can always change. Ideally, just kind of carry Baptiste a little bit more, make sure that we're rotating around what Boop Troop are going to do, especially on Midtown. It's all about how we take that rotation, and it's going to be Boop Troop on the defense first and foremost. Primordius Rising, hovering over the Sigma, hovering over this Wuyong and Bap right now from the back line. They have a couple of options to break through here. It just depends on which one works the best.
It does. They're going to have to deal with Molly on this Doomfist, and now you have a Genji as well with Consta on your back line. This is gonna be pretty tough, honestly. Sorks is gonna have to hit some crazy good shots on this Ashe to really deter this Genji. I think that's gonna be key here.
Oh, look at the pressure. I mean, Molly is once again on this Doomfist and really putting in a world of hurt on the side of Primordius Rising when they're not expecting it, when they're not really privy to that Doomfist. She is right there really putting in the hurt on these guys. You can see Captain Crunch is trying to at least get a little bit of a leg up with a rock, with maybe a little bit of that extra damage output, but not going to find anything but a death.
And Boot Troop just looking a step faster than Primordius Rising right now. They're not really able to keep up. I mean, look at that. You just got a punch landed on you as a Tracer. That's not supposed to happen. Great play from Molly once again to land yet another set of punches onto Galaxy. Does lose their life for it, though. This could be an opening for Primordius.
The Wolf does not concern herself with facing 5 people in block form as Doomfist at 1 HP. The Wolf does not concern herself. We're going to see what Booptroop can do without Molly there to help mitigate that pressure from the Cassidy and from the Sigma here, and Galaxy also on Tracer, right? That opening of it taking care of Molly does open up at least 1 ticket for Primordius Rising to utilize, and a really good timing to boot, right? 2.5 minutes is fantastic. Even more so, we get the kill onto Kansa after the fact, and Ghostin. You trade off for Molly taking care of Spec in the meantime, so 1/2 the backline is longer there. But at the same time, you're able to pick up the pieces while Molly's in the backline. You're seeing Galaxy get kills anyway, and then finish off Molly, opening things up with a 4-minute and 45-second time bank, and also requesting a pause for a quick second.
They just have to pause on that excellent capturing of point number 1. I mean, really, that fight there feels a lot like Molly got a little overconfident on that Doomfist, like you said. Let's hit the block 1v5. We got this. we can take this moment right here. We've got it on lock. And then just having to wait for your tank to come back, and then you just stagger in kind of 1 by 1, losing a player here, a player there, and just managing to stay alive just long enough from the Doomfist dive that Galaxy can manage to pick off a couple of stragglers in the back line on that Tracer.
Yeah, no, for sure. We are getting word that the teams are getting ready to go right back in. It looks like it was a Galaxy batteries diff here, so please charge your mice. Hello? Refill your batteries before your matches, but I love y'all either way. We're back, right? We have 4.5 minutes here for Primordius Rising to push the objective all the way to point B. And we do have ults online that really strong. Daddy's, of course, going to be having the window. We have Captain Crunch's Flux. I mean, everything is in the back pocket. It depends on how they want to use them together. Starting things off, of course, Ghostin starts things off with a beautiful orbital raid. It does get connected, or at least mitigated by that Flux coming in from Captain Crunch. But look at the health pool. Captain Crunch needs it back up. You have Molly again in that back line. The Rock does not mitigate that Meteor Strike, so she does use it, looks for Daddy, and can Daddy stay alive? I mean, there's a slam, there's a punch, and there's the kill. We're seeing the Tidal Blast committed onto Salmon themselves. Beautifully done. Tries to get a little bit too cheeky against the Sigma, and Captain Crunch can be able to shut it down almost effortlessly.
Yeah, so that's so for our MVP battle so far, that's 1-0 Cap and Crunch, right? 'Cause that's the straight head-to-head, right? He takes the first fight. Maybe it can lead into a map win here as well, but we'll have to see as we continue on. Boop Troop going to have Blade and this overclock online, but Primordius Rising has everything available to them except for this Gravitic Flux. Set up in a very good position to potentially continue moving this card.
We see Salmon got off of the Wuyan, now goes over to the Brigida. I love this backline so much. And now we have the overclock also being used. The Pulse Bomb tries to shut down that exit from Jeremy. Doesn't really find Jeremy though, but we do get rid of Costa in the meantime, and we get a trade-off for Jeremy anyway. So it's a 3v3 trade-off happening here. Salmon does get completely out-pressured by Spec on the Wuyang, really showcasing the finesse of the character, and also making sure we don't trigger finger our Q button quite yet, holding onto it yet again.
Yes, great job. Primordius Rising still has a lot of ults. Gravitic Flux comes out, does not catch on to anybody, and here comes the Tidal Blast. Does catch on to a few as Consta takes down Daddy with that blade.
Oh, what a blade, but even better, I love that the idea of the Flux with the Tidal Blast. You can see that Captain Crunch went down to try to stun somebody out, but it doesn't really work, right? We're still seeing some eliminations on the board here. Salmon tries to go for a last-minute touch, but honestly, it's coming to a little more of a fruitless endeavor as Jeremy kind of slid over to the opposing high ground and accidentally singled themselves out against the Cassidy, right? In the meantime, Molly didn't die that entire time. I thought she was for sure dead in like a 1v3, but no, the Doomfist differential is definitely real here.
I mean, Molly's saving that point because, for all intents and purposes, it looked like Primordius Rising had completely won that point to my eye. So, Molly managing to come back and get 3 kills like that and taking another fight out of this is crazy, because now you have an Orbital Ray, you've got Meteor Strike, you're pretty close on the rally, and the Orbital Ray is already coming out early.
Big torpedo damage, even better. Beautiful singling out of Daddy, trying to retreat up to that high ground with the Exo Boots. And now, again, it's a lot of trade-off. That's how even these teams are. But eventually, we have to remember that Jeremy is kind of a menace on this character. Galaxy, however, going to be shutting it down completely, but not enough to give Primordius Rising a leg up back in the series. They have to now basically fight this bridge again.
And it's tough because they don't have the ultimates to do it, really. Right, like Sorks has this Deadeye online, You don't really expect that to do much for you, though. Honestly, it's more of a zoning ult, and then sometimes you get a kill out of it. And same thing with like the meteor strike, right? But the rally can be huge unless that happens, as Spec gets the kill.
Oh, what a kill. But Molly, again, really just singling out some of her more tough matchups, especially the Cassie of all things. Now you can see people are trying to help Daddy a little bit more out. You saw the Wuyong primary, or the Wuyong healing committed onto Daddy. You also saw the shielded. But as I say this, there is a little bit of back capping. Galaxy does get found out quickly by the back line. The keen eyes of Salmon and Ghostin. But while we do all that, hold on. We've lost Molly. Galaxy's fighting for their life in this in the subway here. He does back out to safety. And there's a Flux falling right after the fact. But I think it completely whiffed. Oh my god, it does. Here's a rally. Oh, what do we do here?
What do we do here? It looks like chaos is ensuing in the backline as Galaxy and Daddy managed to get 2 kills here. Hold on, wait a minute. Galaxy getting another kill onto Salmon, and Sork's just staying alive for so long, not allowing Molly to get back to the point. And there you go, Primordius Rising takes point 2.
Beautiful. And they had ults too, like they have the window and the pulse bomb for this next fight, and there's no swaps even more so from Boom Troop. And look at this, Galaxy runs up on Salmon and gets the pulse bomb, forcing a stagger, forcing another regroup from Boom Troop.
That is some rude behavior right there from Galaxy, showing some real skills on this Tracer right now. Jeremy going to have their overclock online for this next fight, and Daddy going to have the amplification matrix as well, but that's really about it for either team. You got to be aggressive here, though, if you're the side of Primordius.
Oh, window gets used, so is the overclock, but Galaxy comes up that elevator right behind Jeremy, and Jeremy was not aware that there was a Tracer right behind them. What a reversal from Primordius Rising, and again, they are losing a couple of people. Spec does find Salmon great, but the meteor strike does get committed, and we actually, I think, are able to evade it a little bit here for Spec. Now Spec is retreating to the legs of the Cassie to help actually mitigate this Doomfist a little bit more. Spec is, oh my god, bro, how does Spec live that? How does Spec live that? Wuyong got nerfed, by the way, only 40% movement instead of 50%.
I mean, right there, that's the type of plays you have to make if you want to win this map as Primordius Rising, right? You got to be able to avoid this Doom Fist, and you've been doing it pretty well the last few fights. You just got to stay alive, right? You have Sorks, who has the tank ability to do that, and as well as Spec having the ability to do that a little bit as well.
High Noon gets used. It does get used with that Tidal Blast, and I mean, Ghostin was right next to Sword, just waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect opportunity to peak the ultimate here. Over time, it's starting to dwindle down, and it's gonna be pretty much Galaxy finishing off a lot of these lower targets. Only 4 people left, so we're of course going over to the Somber for that last minute touch. Molly finally doing some swaps here, but the Flux does inhibit at least Molly from touching, and even more so, Ghostin could not get there in time on the Juno. Primordius Rising have completed Midtown with no time to spare, so they have to get pretty much a picture-perfect defense here, or we might have to go into a draw situation.
Hey, I mean, getting a completion on Midtown at all is pretty good. I feel like most teams tend to get stuck right before the end right there. They get around that last corner, but then they don't have a Gravitic Flux to Sig-9 the other team, which also incredibly useful. You know, Molly coming out on that Reinhardt there to try and get that last second touch. Guess who I'm hitting with a Gravitic Flux? I'm hitting the big rectangle man that can just kind of exist in front of me for a long time. So great play right there to finish that off and get that point captured. Got to shout out Galaxy as well, just doing a fantastic job on this Tracer of just trading out these kills consistently. Sorks getting that tankiness of that Cassidy to live through Molly diving on them with that Doom Fist. And I mean, just great response from Primordius Rising right now, and it looks like they're forcing Boop Troop into somewhat of a mirror match.
I like it. There's a reason why Sigma has been, I mean, in the small amount of comp games I did play today, Sigma has been a very popular band because of that primary fire adjustment, the damage boost to 25 damage, right? So, that being said, I do like the mirror here. I think Molly kind of taking up the mantle and mirroring this comp against Captain Crunch is, I think, the smartest option we've seen so far. Consta is going to commit to the Symmetra. Oh. Captain Crunch is dead very early on. Wait a minute, they're getting run completely down. Now they're gonna single out poor old daddy in the train, and that's really it. I mean, what else could we possibly say? They can maybe get a couple of maybe last minute staggers onto Galaxy, maybe, but otherwise they're gonna open up at least the first tick here with relative ease.
Yeah, Boop Troop said, "You brought this out of us. We're gonna be a dirty Symmetra team now. We're gonna run the Symmetra composition and be in your back line now." You know, do you know how difficult it is as Galaxy to be Tracer right now? You gotta deal with Symmetra, you gotta deal with Baptiste and Cass. Galaxy has to be such an insane player to get off high value on Tracer going into all those different heroes.
I mean, Galaxy might even find it worthwhile to swap and mirror the comp completely, going to Symmetra himself, right? That could also be a big option here. Either way, Boop Troop, I mean, they're pushing the cart relatively slowly. We do see Salmon does get pressured out and then shut down by Sora. I think Salmon got a little bit too overconfident, playing that high ground and thinking that they weren't going to get shut down by a Cassidy, but it happens either way. Captain Crunch, while walking up, does get Jeremy out of the way, and Consta barely able to survive at just about 15 HP before the Immortality Field does get procced here by Salmon to keep Consta alive a little bit longer. But Primordius Rising have regained their positioning, and they look to go for another defensive hold.
They certainly do here coming into this next fight. Salmon going to have this Amp Matrix online here shortly. I think that's going to be key for earning Boop Troop a lot of space here as they just teleport to the high ground.
But it's kind of recover a little bit here. They have to use the sound barrier just to adjust to Primordius Rising really doing the correct response, right? And that's why we're seeing Boop Troop really move effortlessly through this first point. Now, Ghostin and we do lose Ghostin and Consta in the meantime. Daddy takes care of them at the same time, and Molly also finds one onto Galaxy. So 4 minutes here, Primordius Rising. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, the scoreboard being swapped is messing me up a lot. I'm not gonna hold you. I'm gonna admit it.
It has been a little odd how the colors are not quite matching every so often. I'm right there with you on that one. But, I mean, coming into this next fight, here comes the Gravitic Flux out from Molly. And does not catch on to anybody, but does force out the Immortality Field.
Yeah, it's big, and there's a window as well, and they can now use it once more. The Photon Barrier gets used just to kind of coincide with the window, make sure they don't get completely iced out by that damage output by the raw tower. But it's not gonna be enough. Consta still goes down either way. Deadeye does get procced here as well from Jeremy, and we drop down to maybe catch Captain Crunch lacking, but Captain Crunch, I mean, is never lacking, and neither is Sora. What a headshot onto Salmon. What a small hurt box to go to hone in on, and more so gets both of the backliners easily. Boop Troop suddenly in the hot seat. What do you do here? You're starting to get really full held by Primordius Rising.
This is the tough spot to be in right now, right? You have no ultimates to speak of. Primordius Rising, Sorks is going to have that Deadeye, and they have been pretty consistent at getting like one kill off of it every time. And Spec going to have that Tidal Blast online as well, potentially going to use it defensively or in some way, shape, or form, but we'll have to see because, again, Captain Crunch has been incredibly dominant on this Sigma as well.
Oh, big high noon, nice shield here, and they're trying to walk around, but here's the Tidal Blast, and we're going to go straight in for a beautiful 2K from Sork. What a Deadeye. I also want to say big ups to Spec for a really well-timed Tidal Blast as well. That was just great timing all around.
Oh, absolutely. Waiting until the last possible moment to pop that Tidal Blast. And since you've done that, now you've allowed your team to build up. Captain Crunch having that Gravitic Flux. Galaxy has the Pulse Bomb online. But you've got double support ults on the other side. Ghostin going to be incredibly key here, as we've seen. But Salmon going down early. That might stop any semblance of a fight from happening now.
It might, or at least just pause it momentarily until you see Salmon come back. But that also gives Daddy a little bit of time to charge up to, of course, his own amplification matrix of the window, right? Easier way to say that. And then Crunch, again, as you mentioned, has the Flux. We also see Molly having her own. So it's a battle of the Fluxes. They both get used at the exact same time. Neither are able to use their rocks, but there is a sound barrier. There's a rock. There is a very low Molly, but Jeremy wakes up on that Cassidy and is just able to get so much value for Boop Troop in that latter half of the fight here, only just now clearing the bridge and now turning the corner to completion.
There is potential for a touch here if you're Primordius Rising, but it might be worthwhile to just back off and play the next point. Oh, wait a minute. We're seeing a touch here come out. Consta immediately takes down Sorks, though.
I mean, the flag kill was too strong, and this window from the bridge is so good for Jeremy to kind of just pepper in a little bit of extra hit scan damage onto people like Captain Crunch, who were just going there to the ball to get the touch in time. Isn't able to get it, but ooh, rotation of all time going to the high ground. They only have 2.5 minutes here.
2.5 minutes, no ults to speak of. Well, I take that back. Consta has this blade online, but a blade with no assistance is very difficult to get high value out of. We'll see, though. If anybody can do it, Consta can. Primordius Rising going to have their Pulse Bomb and the Deadeye online, and that Tidal Blast is at 86%, getting really close here. You're going to want to force as many fights as possible here if you're Primordius Rising. That's your key. You just want to drain clock at this point.
Oh, and Galaxy's not going to be able to use the pulse on whatsoever. Jeremy gets to 1-up in the matchup easily. Molly getting a little bit too pressured out. Needs to use the shield here. Oh, we're flying. Oh, she's flying in to brawl it out against the opposing Sigma. I mean, they're all in their spawn room, and they're being sucked out completely by Boop Troop here. They still have that blade, and there's no, there's nothing on the side of Primordius Rising. Maybe the Tidal Blast, but that's not going to be enough to mitigate that. Oh, there it is, being used first in the Galaxy, though. Who are we going to go towards? It tries to go for the Cassie. Blade comes out from Consta, and the Deadeye. It's a 1v1 trade. There's a pulse bomb, and what a roll. What a roll from the Cassidy.
I mean, great roll coming out there from Jeremy. And Boop Troop does finish with a minute 15 seconds above what they needed. So now the best you can hope for if you're Primordius is a tie. I mean, Boop Troop coming out there on point 3, really looking like a completely different team from what we'd seen the rest of the map. Jeremy just taking over that third point on that Cassidy, just not really missing a shot whatsoever, being an absolute menace on that Cassidy.
I feel like Jeremy remembered that they counter Tracer really well. I feel like that's really what happened. Like, oh wait, I'm Cassidy, and then just kind of use Hinder, headshot, and then pretty much Galaxy could not play the game thereafter once Jeremy kind of woke up a little bit. I'm a little worried here. Is Boot Trooper really fast on their attack, right? Like they pushed through Primordius Rising within the first 45 seconds with the Symmetra, and I wouldn't be surprised if we did see Consta maybe go over Symmetra quickly, or even give a teleport and go back to Genji. But Primordius Rising at least have only a minute to stall, and that's not a lot of time for Boot Troop to work with. So I think it's definitely in the bag for Primordius to get the draw here.
You just need to pick like an ultra heavy sustain comp, I feel like, right? And seeing Cap and Crunch running this Ramatra to begin with makes perfect sense to me. Sork's been really dominant on this cast. I'm curious about the Pharah. This could just be a pick to try and catch Boop Troop. Maybe they're expecting the Symmetra that they saw round number 1, and so you can spam that out pretty well with a Pharah. So I think this is actually a really smart pick from Galaxy.
Well, there they go. Teleport over to the firehouse, and there they all are. Of course, setting up these turrets easily here. And now only less than a minute left, and we can see Primordius Rising are trying to rotate up appropriately. They didn't get this far quite as early as they like, but as you can see, that damage output is definitely being felt. That spam from Galaxy is being put onto the opposition. They actually go all the way around, trying to find somebody lacking. Just Daddy's poor old pylon is the victim of the day. Boop Troop are about to lose Salmon, and Galaxy, of all people, is getting the first pick here onto their bad matchup. Galaxy also finds Salmon. That's 2 down against Boop Troop. They have to be so careful, but now they lose their tank. And it's still a 1v1 trade-off. What can we do here? Primordius Rising only having the Cassie and Yuri left.
I mean, Malucio coming out and taking care of the Pharah is crazy. Landing the Cheerios onto the high ground. Molly against Sorks. This is going to be a tough battle. The sustain of this Sigma is going to be a lot to have to try and contend with.
Oh, but of course Molly finds the 1-up onto his sword. Then there's the headshots onto Captain Crunch. Galaxy comes back on the Tracer, but there's the... Oh, no, look how the health pools are looking here. 1, 2, 3, 4 down, just Daddy by himself, and that's all that she wrote. Boop Troop have solidified the second round in overtime fashion, getting themselves 2-0 in the series, but not quite match point again. First to 4 is what we're playing with today, so they have a lot of time to work with and adapt here if you're Primordius Rising.
You absolutely do, and I think Primordius Rising has been really close on these first 2 maps. Like, these haven't been insane blowouts or anything. There's just been like a moment where one player for Boop Troop lives and Primordius Rising has nobody there, like right there in that last moment. But Molly happened to be the person alive to finish that point off. And, well, what do you know? It's a Sigma. Sigma has all the buttons to stay alive with no assistance whatsoever. So it's just, it's a tough draw for you there, for that to be the person that's left alive.
Especially, if you're the Hiscan, right? If you had maybe like a Symmetra, a little May, it's like, okay, a little bit easier to do with Sigma because we're gonna grasp my beam. It's not gonna happen, right? But it's just so much more difficult if you're just the Cassidy and the Yari on the point trying to stall until your ball comes back. But with that being said, as usual, every 2 maps we're going to give our players a little bit of a break, give them a little bit of time to think about where we're going to go from map number 3 and what bands will be more impactful going into that map number 3. With that being said, we'll be right back on the other end of this break. And we're back. It is grand finals of the North American Open Division here for CGL Season 16. We have Boop Troop 2 up right now against Primordius Rising. This is again first to 4, best of 7. So this is not the end of the road quite yet here for Primordius Rising, but it can get real hairy real quickly. A reverse 3-0, rare, can happen. A reverse 4-0 or 3-0, or yeah, 4-0. That's a little bit out of the way, so they had to find some way to make this map 3 go in their favor.
They certainly do, and I think they've picked a good one, honestly, to try and flip it with, just based on what we were seeing last map on Midtown. And their pick is going to be Circuit Royale. We've seen this map picked time and time again. It really changes the pace, or in this case, it brings the pace back to that Sigma comp, where I do feel like, generally speaking, Primordius Rising had the advantage in that comp for the most part, as we saw that map go on. Again, barring Jeremy's takeover on point number 3 of Boop Troop's attack, I felt like Primordius was doing incredibly well on that Sigma comp in the neutral exchange.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably the best thing Primordius Rising could have done, and if they want to continue to play that Sigma, they're going to need to go for a very offensive ban here. They have to go for something on the tank side of things so they can make sure that their Sigma is not banned out by Boop Troop early. Because I'm not sure if Molly really wants to take up that mantle against Primordius Rising once again, right? So with that in mind, I do think maybe a Ramatra and Orisa ban would be pretty safe. Oh, they don't care. No, they're going for Widowmaker. They could lose Sigma here, Shadow. They could absolutely lose Sigma here.
There is some potential for it, for sure. I think getting rid of the Widow is good, though, because we know that Sorks is incredibly strong on the Ashe, the Sojourn. I'm sure they can be on Widow as well, but, you know, why take Sorks off one of those comfort heroes when we've seen them doing so well over the course of this series? This does leave open the ability for Boop Troop to ban this Sigma. If Boop Troop doesn't ban the Sigma, I'm not sure. Okay, I was going to say maybe they go Illari or Zenyatta. So it looks like they are opting to play the Sigma as well, but they might want to run the Bap Lucio version, and they don't want to have to deal with the extra poke of the Illari.
It's a respect thing at this point. It's kind of like playing Winston Mirror on Gibraltar. You gotta play Sigma on Circuit Royale or some variation of Sigma composition. But I think Sigma might be the preferred choice only because, again, he got some really pretty sizable buffs to his damage output, right? So Illari mitigating that Baptiste, and that Illari you can always see, as you mentioned, Bap Lucio, Bap Zen can come out and play a little bit. Widowmaker, I think, is just a solid ban in general on Circuit Royale. This could force, as you mentioned, an Ashe, another Cassidy mirror, especially from Boop Troop's Jeremy. This also means that Venture is online again, and some teams do like to play a little freaky, and they like to kind of throw Venture in there for funsies. And Jeremy, I know, loves playing the character, so that could also be something that Primordius Rising need to be a little more eyeful and weary of.
It does leave open the option for like a Freya as well. I know Freya had some little nerfs here and there from what the patch was today. There were buffs to the Bolo, but there were nerfs to everything else. So it's like, do you still play the Freya? I haven't experimented with the damage, so I can't say for sure, but it does leave open the option to play the Freya here, or we could just simply see Ashe and Sojourn. They're both still really strong picks as well. You could go for an Ashe Genji. You know, there are several options here that I think are incredibly viable for both teams to try out.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a lot of flexibility on Circuit Royale just because I feel like the Hiskans have the most fun on this mode, on this map, more often than not. Like, you'll have a Sojourn, you can have a Genji, you can have a Widowmaker if she wasn't unbanned, you can have a Freya. There's so many options you can really run here for DPS. Tanks and supports are a little bit more limited just because of how the map is built. You'll see your Bap, your Anas, maybe your Kirikos, your Lucios more often than not, your Zenyatas. You won't really see. I mean, we did see June on Midtown, and I wouldn't be surprised if maybe we saw her again, especially with the patch notes kind of giving her crit back, right? She had a crit in one of her perks that was removed, and now Salmon gets to run Juno and also be a little bit of a menace with the crit at their disposal. Primordius Rising looking like they want to play in the spawn room at least. They want to hover over the Winston, right, from Captain Crunch, and I'm not sure that's going to stay, but oh, hold on. You know what they're doing. I know what they're doing. Is it gonna work though?
That is the question. I don't know. Lifeweaver shenanigans, I'm not one to believe them until I see them, so I guess we'll see here.
Excuse me.
Well, hold on. We could just be seeing Galaxy getting into some Junkrat shenanigans once their team gets going here.
Oh no, they're the cooker. So this is really smart. They're waiting a little bit to make sure these guys are let their guard down, and while that happens, we lose a couple of big members. Galaxy actually does find one onto Jeremy, and then it all goes crashing down. Jeremy even going, okay, okay, buddy.
You know, it was worth a try. It was worth a shot. Now we're going to go over to the Genji, play a more traditional style comp here, and just almost mirroring, but instead having an Ashe over that Hanzo and the Ana over the Brigitte.
I like it a lot, right? I love that we are seeing a lot more Ana play in the new patch, and Molly is still very much okay with playing whatever she really wants. If she wants to run down on you on Ramatra, she's going to do so. Now, somehow, someway, we have found ourselves on the opposite end. Yeah, there it is. We found ourselves all the way on in front of their spawn doors, which I think is a really good spot to hold here if you're Boop Troop. But gotta be a little bit careful because, of course, Primordius Rising have the spawn room advantage of that protection of that spawn, healing, right, and immortality. That being said, Ghostin has Rally, though, so this could come down to a rally and who can guide first.
It very well could. The Nano does come out onto Cap'n Crunch. Great Nano, just seeing those pummels come through immediately. Cap'n Crunch just inting as hard as they can into the back line after getting that Nano boost. A great timing on that ultimate.
Yeah, really, and it also like took down Ghostin's rally, which I think was really strong. You're walking into 3-4 more from Boop Troop, but the Nano trade-off, I mean, I'll take it any day of the week, and they're gonna get the cart pushed forward during this next fight. Dragon Strike is online though, Shadow, and you know this can make or break a lot of people, right? This really small and close space is really difficult to work with. The orbital ray does get used, but no amplified torpedoes, but we are able to really push in the annihilation from the side of Molly, and I mean, we're just going straight in for the kill. The Bob does get thrown out, however, and look at this. The pressure is getting to be too much for these guys. Cap'n Crunch, with, of course, his own annihilation, completely reverses the tides here.
But wait, Consta pulling the blade out, but gets taken down by Cap'n Crunch too. I mean, just continued MVP performance from Cap'n Crunch, quite honestly. Just really unstoppable on pretty much every tank they've decided to play so far today. And what a great retreat from Primordius Rising, dodging that orbital ray and then responding with the Bob and the annihilation of their own. Just a great response there. Boop Troop doesn't have anything now, and Primordius Rising going to have their orbital ray and blade available to them this fight.
They're not going to have Sorks, though. They have to use the Orbital Ray just to kind of make up the lack of Ashes. Now, both Ashes have been completely taken out from both sides. Your Blade going crazy from Galaxy, though, as we are just kind of slicing and dicing in that back line. Boop Troop have been halted. We also have a separation of the back line, the front line. I mean, you're seeing Molly really shut down in that corner with alongside Consta for a very, very, very long stagger.
And the one thing I'll say that was really good about that, if you're Boop Troop, is that you died on cart, right? Your last two players, they got a little bit staggered right there, did die on the cart, so you're going to have another fight here as Molly does swap over to the Orisa here for this upcoming fight. Not much to speak of here. The Nano could be huge from Daddy if they can get that online.
Ooh, but Ghostin to stay alive, barely staying alive, stabilizing with that Juno. And speaking of Daddy, beautiful mission onto Consta. Again, a really good leg up here. Now a 3v5 suddenly in the favor of Primordius Rising, losing out on basically everybody. Orbital Ray does give you some salmon, but really there's no one there to expend it whatsoever. Jeremy is still there, but with no cooldowns, no berry, no dash. I mean, they're completely overtaken by Galaxy's Genji, and suddenly the tides have completely shifted in favor of Primordius as they now reinstate a 3.5-minute time bank here.
And I mean, this is what you need. This is what you love to see if you're Primordius Rising. They're continuing to fight. They managed to win that entire fight without using anything really. And now they're going to have all 5 of their ultimates here shortly. Galaxy the furthest away at 70%. And all they really have to contend with is this rally from Ghostin.
Yeah, Molly is really getting in there, trying to go up to the Terror Surge. We are 2% away from it now. It is online, but she is unfortunately anti-nated, especially in the face of this annihilation. That's just going to be wraps. Everyone not able to back out fast enough. They did not really expecting Molly to go down so quickly to a very well-timed anti-nade from Daddy.
And that's one of the big advantages of having the Ana on your side. Anti-nade is just, it's so strong. It can really punish you when you try and go too deep. Boop Troop going to have a lot of ultimates online, though. The Terrace Surge, the Tectonic Shock, they're close on the Blade. They've got the Rally. Primordius Rising does, however, have the Blade, the Bob, and the Orbital Ray of their own.
Ooh, what a Terror Surge. Ooh, what a kill. Ooh, what a double kill. Triple kill. But I think, yeah, Galaxy tried to pop up in that Dragon Blade in the middle of that fight, maybe to save the day, but it just wasn't going to be enough. They do get rid of Galaxy at the meantime, but it's not really all that it's worth. Constant now has their own, I think Kitsune Rush, their own Dragon Blade in the meantime, and Mao Primordius Rising are struggling here on the attack.
This is going to be a tough fight to break through because you just have to deal with both DPS ultimates. You can potentially do something with this orbital ray, but it's still going to be difficult because you just have this happening right now. Consta in your back line, slicing and dicing with this blade.
I mean, they're going fast. They're just going completely haywire, right, against Primordius. They're making sure these guys can't walk out of spawn. Captain Crunch can't even block enough and get healed up before being taken down by Consta and Molly. That's a really nice, also late-ish dagger onto Galaxy and Captain Crunch for a little bit. Now they're all regrouping with just a forward rate to boots.
And I mean, the biggest downside if you're Primordius is that barely any ultimates are having to be used from Boop Troop. You're getting the orbital ray out early here if you're spec, and this has to be the fight that you take.
Oh, Jeremy, we just wide peek into an orbital ray, but we trade off for Captain Crunch, who did go over, or is back on that Sigma once again. Off of that Ramatra, Molly has once again built up another Terror Surge in the meantime, and she is just waiting for Blood in the Water to just proc it in the spawn area. You know she's waiting and looking for it. Now there is a scout beautifully done by Captain Crunch, and now looking over at this on him. Misses the spear, but does use the Terror Surge right in that small room. Might have been a little bit of a mishap though, as it's quickly shut down by Sorix.
Yeah, potentially a little bit of an overextension there from Molly, but I do understand the desire to get that kill out. This is going to allow Primordius Rising to step up a little bit here, though. They're going to have a Nano Blade available. A good old-fashioned Nano Blade is potentially on the way, Mott, and I would really like to see that occur, as Molly has swapped onto the Diva here. Completely different now, going for a more dive-style comp going into this next fight.
Yeah, Molly has really showcased a plethora of characters that she is extremely comfortable on, from the Ramatra over to the Orisa to the Sigma to now Diva. Now here comes that aforementioned Blade with the Nano, of course, to boot, and that's just so much damage output that really, that's going to result in Molly really just getting completely demeched here, while Daddy does take down Jeremy in the meantime. But whoa, pause the timer, What do you mean? What do you mean we don't touch the point? What do you mean we C9 this? Give me my button. Where's my button? That's a C9. That's a C9. It has to be.
That's a tragic moment, is what happened right there. That's Charles the Ninth appearing in our game right before our very eyes. The king himself, Charles the Ninth. There he is for all his glory in the world to see. He shows up every so often, you know. He makes an appearance. He sits upon his throne. And then he blesses us with his presence and leaves. And he has done it here tonight in this NA Open Tier Grand Finals. And, you know, no Grand Finals is complete without at least one of these, right, Mott?
You gotta get at least one C9 or one Ajax in at least one of your series on broadcast. And today it happens to be on Grand Finals. And Primordius Rising, I'm unplugging the monitor as we speak. Like, it's so unfortunate because they were so close. Like, they were so close to actually winning that fight, and not only that, pushing the point probably to third point. Now they're forced into this kind of uncomfortable situation where they need to basically full hold first and second. And you don't want to do that on Circuit Royale. Once you get past first, the rest of it kind of goes by in a blur, or you pick up your bearings and you are able to defend third point. It's a tough order to ask for Primordius.
I think too that it was really smart of Boop Troop to just play in their spawn, essentially, right? Like, forcing the ultimates out of Primordius just to leave their spawn was incredibly key as to why they held them as far on third point as they did there. But now coming in here, if you're Primordius, you've got to have somebody just get some early kills and just stop this cart progress at least a little bit. You want to get at least 2 fights out of first point.
Oh, they're trying, but they're being pushed all the way back towards that crosswalk. Thankfully, the corner does provide some solace, and that allows Daddy and Zork to both get their eliminations underway and really just shut down Boop Troop early in the fight here. Only about a minute has transgressed, and Primordius Rising not gonna have any ultimates online, but there is a swap here. Jeremy has now gone back over to that far rub. We've lost Ghost in the meantime.
Yeah, losing Ghostin early is just going to result in another soft reset, I have to imagine here. And if you're Jeremy, you're going to have to watch out for Sorks, who is already 77% on this Bob and just being an absolute menace on this hit scan once again. If you can deal with that Ashe early, you should have free reign in the skies as this Pharah.
You should on paper, right? But it can get pretty hard against someone like Sorks, who's very much keen on making your life as difficult as possible. Now, with that being said, Bob has now been expended and kind of was in a really solid spot, I would say, but then quickly burned down. But while Jeremy was watching the Bob, making sure that Bob was not going to be peeking whatsoever, they get scouted out by the aforementioned Ashe himself. And now the orbital ray does get used from Salmon, and I can't help but say it might have been a little bit too early. Or late, sorry.
Yeah, you lose Molly there. You are forcing a little bit of cart space still, but you want to get far away from Cap'n Crunch on this Sigma right now. Cap'n Crunch could be really petty and pop this Gravitic Flux on these two supports. It doesn't look like that's what they're going to do, but it is certainly an option to continue this stagger out right now.
Jeremy's only 65% to a barrage, 70% to a barrage, and here comes a Flux from Captain Crunch. I love how forward-facing these guys are playing. They're playing so defensive, so good, so well on really following up on these anti-nades. It allows the Specs to Tidal Blast to get connected onto Consta and shut the Genji down. Only 85% to that blade as well, so it's all flying while Galaxy's just chilling, waiting for the go button, waiting to be set free like a rabid dog. And there is the kill, the melee onto the Brigida, now trying to find the Pharah on kind of hovering over that rooftop, but of course Jeremy kind of slides right away.
And Primordius just continuing to do a fantastic job here of not over-investing too many ultimates. I think the key is going to be these two DPS ultimates, the Blade and the Barrage from Boop Troop. That's going to have to be your opening. You're going to have to catch these supports out with that because there are no defensive ultimates available for Primordius Rising here.
Well, you can see that Sam is trying to build up to this next orbital ray early. We just proc Nemesis form into Annihilation just like that. Now trying to go for the blade here, and we're looking for this Brigida. Ghost not being able to scurry away to safety quite yet. And yes, with the next victim of choice going to be Consta, ideally, who does have the blade online for themselves. But can they even use it? Well, they get a kill onto Galaxy, but there's nothing else to boot as Zorx does come through with the Bob, and the Bob assists in finishing the fight off cleanly. 17 seconds left is all that separates Primordius Rising from 1 point or reinstating this defense once again.
And here we are coming down to last fight. Primordius Rising getting close on that Gravitic Flux and that Tidal Blast, but that's it. Consta going to have this blade online. They're going to have to be clutch with it as they have been many times this series.
I mean, Primordius Rising are able to shut down the blade easily from Sork, and now overtime is ticking down, and there's basically no one there. Melly has to go in, but is going so low, and even more so as Jeremy is seeked out and sought out by that Ashe, and that is all that she wrote. Ideally, there's no one going down from Primordius. They have pretty much full held first objective. That's all they needed to get something on the board here. It's not going to end in a 3-0 so far. It's going to end right now in a 2-1, guaranteeing us a map number 5 and 6.
I mean, fantastic work from Primordius Rising. And, I mean, I got to shout out Cap'n Crunch, man. Cap'n Crunch showing us why they were put on this MVP spot. They've been great on every tank they've been playing so far. Sorks has been pretty dominant on this hit scan as well. And just finally the plays they were trying to make worked, right? Because they were making great plays in maps 1 and 2 as well. But this time they were all coming together. They were only having to use like one ultimate to win a fight. Sorks was getting a kill early onto some key support in the back line on that Ashe, right? And that's what Circuit Royale can do for you. It can allow your Sigma and your hit scan to really take over the map, and that's what we saw throughout the entirety of Circuit.
I'm just glad they didn't let themselves boom over that C9. That's all I care about at the end of the day is because that let alone the way that it happened as well. They were so amped up. They were so really in the favor of winning that fight 1000%. Like there was just absolutely no way around it. But I'm just glad they didn't let that boom them. In fact, I think they made them play even better. They kind of locked in even more against these guys on the defense side. So now Boop Troop in an unfamiliar position, right? This is their first... Wait, pause. This is their first map down in playoffs. This is the first time they've ever lost a map, and now they're in a very unfamiliar position of choosing the next map, and they're quick with this. Shadow. We're going to Flashpoint next. We're going to New Junk City.
I mean, it makes perfect sense, right? Boop Troop, from what we've seen so far, they are better at playing fast. They like playing fast. They like playing these brawl styles. Primordius has tended to be better in those poke styles, those slower compositions, where they can play like a Wu Yang and Ana, you know, something like that. But when it's like a Lucio style comp, Boop Troop has just been in there 24/7. Where's my speed amp? Get me back there as fast as I can possibly get there. And that's so Flashpoint is the perfect mode to do that on.
Yeah, I love Flashpoint. I also love that's not just like your typical Servasa. We're going, and not even Atlas either. We're going somewhere that people don't really go to all that often. And New Junk City, I think, is a really good place to kind of refresh the mental, refresh the energy and the comm structure and everything like that, right? So with that being said, we have now gone over to the ban phase, and Boop Troop, again, unfamiliar position. They have to ban first this time. They previously banned the Symmetra, the Kiriko, and the Iyari, and these have been pretty solid bans as of late. Very targeted bans, very much also safe to the map itself. And with New Junk City at the fray, they might want to actually rip the band-aid and take out Ramatra early.
I was gonna say I think Ramatra is your pick here, or you do a support ban and you save one of your supports. Galaxy was a menace on that Tracer as well, though, on Midtown, so
Yeah.
this pick makes sense to me. But I don't know. I think Ramatra would have been a more valuable ban here potentially. But this leads us into Primordius's ban, and I think Primordius has the opportunity to ban Lucio and make this a very interesting Flashpoint.
I agree. Either that or Juno, because we've been seeing a lot more Juno coming in from Boop Troop than we have been the Lucio as of late. And even though, yeah, they both fulfill the same speed duty, I think the kind of added benefit of being a crit machine with Juno is quite nice to boot, right? So that might also be a valid ban from Primordius. And instead, they're actually going to go for the double Kiriko ban here. Primordius now taking Kiriko out of the fray. Mind you, Boop Troop did ban her in map number 2, and of course, teams are allowed to ban the same character so long as it's the opposite team doing so. If that makes sense. So this is why you're allowed to have that Kiriko ban happen twice here, and these are really good bans for Flashpoint in general. So I'm not mad at it, but Shadow, what I'm weary about is that we didn't ban Venture or anything like that, and that's really where we can see so much value coming in from Boop Troop is Jeremy's Venture.
That was probably part of the reason that the Tracer ban did come in, right? You're saving the Venture as well. You're more concerned about having Jeremy on Venture than you are about getting rid of Ramatra, which, again, that makes total sense to me when I really think about it. I didn't think about it in the moment, but you bringing it up right there, it just makes it a key point as to why we saw that DPS ban come in when it didn't necessarily feel like the ban when you first think of it.
Yeah, I'm glad you kind of broke it down in that fashion. I think that's a really, that's exactly what they were going for. Like, you know what? This kill is 2 birds with 1 stone, and that's why we went for it. Now, we do load into New Junk City. You guys know this always starts off on Arena, first and foremost. Very much a zone of people, rotating to different ways or different areas. They love to go either all the way to the back line, the back area, or they go straight in that main way. So it depends on where these two teams do want to end up, but I do see a Zarya mirror so far from Molly and Captain Crunch, and Lucio hovered over by both teams, but Salmon, the oddball out on Moira.
Oh, I'm not going to lie to you. I like Boop Troop's comp a lot more than I like Primordius's comp. Daddy has to be near perfect on this Ana to make this pick a better pick than the Moira. Like, you've got to be landing some crazy antis and not get them cleansed at all.
Yeah, and also a slow character like Ana on Flashpoint is usually not seen that often, but you can see, look at the pressure. Boop Troop are just running these guys down, and as you said, you have to be playing picture perfect on Ana, but Jeremy is not going to let that happen whatsoever. Molly herself is, of course, at really high charge, though, so she could absolutely start walking in on anybody, and despite Jeremy getting... Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me. It's split for me. We're good. VGC Boop Troop getting that first point in their favor, and they're going to continue this aggression right onto the poor old Captain Crunch, and maybe even onto Spec, who's trying to speed with his safety, and I think is not able to get out. Definitely not with that hinder nade.
And this is kind of exactly what I expected to see on this map, right? Boop Troop has shown that they like to play at this faster tempo. They like to be in your face as much as possible. I like Primordius swapping it up, going for the Ramatra pick here. You're going to have to land your hinders if you're Sorks, but Sorks has been incredibly good at that so far. If you can hinder out Jeremy and catch this Venture early, I think it gives your team a lot more of an opening to walk.
We also got Daddy mirroring Salmon on that Moira, right? So she's becoming a lot more of a favorite character here on Flashpoint in general, Servasa, New Junk City, all that jazz. And Consta, what a pick. Finding Daddy early in the fight, and then this is just a wipe here of Arena. But this point is somewhat difficult to attack, so this does leave Primordius Rising to rethink their positioning, their strategies, and their compositions as we move into the next objective.
And going into the next point, you're going to have Salmon having that Coalescence online, and Molly going to have that Graviton Surge, and Consta going to have their Deadeye available here. Galaxy swapping over to the Bastion. We saw it a little bit at the end of Circuit Royale, but now we're seeing just the continued sort of bunker style to try and deal with Boop Troop's speed.
Oh, Graviton Surge used early, but Molly is just completely, like, decimated by that Bastion from Galaxy. Might actually be more impactful than we were anticipating here. Coalescence does get used just to keep everyone up, even despite the lack of a tank. Jeremy going down. Simon does finally one onto both Galaxy and Sorks, and it's really just a trade-off of 1v1s, but Captain Crunch is still very much in the fight here. So that gives Primordius Rising a little bit of a leg of having a tank at the disposal. Molly is back on that Doomfist, and I am very happy to see how this is going to work favorably for Boop Troop or not.
Oh, this is gonna be tough. Galaxy has now swapped over to the Sombra, probably an attempt to deal with Molly on this Doomfist as well. It's a classic old school counter for the Doomfist. You do have some opportunity here if your Primordius Rising, but both teams having the sound barrier online is going to make it tough for you to really find that opening. Like, the other ults are all fantastic and all, but that sound barrier exchange is the most important part.
Oh, poor German. They didn't even have a chance to back out before, I believe, was stunned, and then I think hacked as well out of that berry. Some berry does get used from both sides, but Daddy is a little bit too active in the DPS line of things, and Concept finds not one, but two beautiful eliminations in the favor of Boop Troop before inevitably going down himself. We do, are of course, going to see that point continue to rack up in percentage advantage here for Boop Troop. 82%, in fact. The virus connects onto Molly herself, but she's able to kind of back out easily, whereas Captain Crunch is trying really his best. Whoa! Trying his best to find somebody, and we find Salmon, I think, in the very end phase of the phase. So what a elimination, what a reversal. We're over time here, though, and Primordius Rising are able to flip it, thankfully, for themselves.
I mean, and not to mention, you catch Salmon out at 97% to that Coalescence, so now you allow Daddy to be matching this Coalescence coming into this next fight. I think Galaxy's EMP, though, is going to be the key ultimate. You need to make sure you catch a few people out with that EMP and just aggress as hard as you can on them if you're Primordius.
Yeah, Galaxy's job here is just to hack out something. Maybe the Deadeye coming through from Concept might be a good one, but we have both Coalescence now being procced here. Daddy finds Concept, Salmon finds the reversal of Spec, and while Galaxy's trying to run away to safety, Jeremy is not allowing that to happen whatsoever, and there's the punch and kill onto Sork, and just like that, a very short-lived round here from Primordius Rising as they are getting picked off one by one and leaving just poor old Captain Crunch by himself.
Oh, that is so unfortunate. And I mean, again, it just shows Boop Troop is the faster team, right? They're being more aggressive. They're ulting first. Whereas the side of Primordius Rising is being a little bit more reactive. And you can't really do that on this particular type of map, especially going into a Doomfist. If you wait for Doomfist to aggress into you, you're probably going to lose that fight, as we've seen so far.
I mean, Molly is barely living by a thread and couldn't even kind of snap to that mini pack in time before Galaxy does find a really good opener here for Primordius Rising. All they need to do is make sure they don't lose it out, but Ghostin, I mean, oh my god, you turn around from a Ramatra, you turn into a Cassidy, and you kind of explode in the same breath. So it does take care of Constant in the meantime, so this could come to something to be nice, but as we say that, Jeremy is a menace on this Venture. We need a ban Venture out next map, surely.
I mean, taking down Sorks right there is probably one of the best kills you can get. And I mean, if you're Galaxy, you've got to use this EMP in this fight before Ghostin gets up to this sound barrier. It could be a good opportunity to continue to stagger out Boop Troop if you can just catch them early with this.
They gotta do it here, right? Primordius Rising have 3 ultimates while they're defending the objective. Jeremy's about to come up on that Tectonic Shock post Barry as well, and really now it's online. Checkmark is revealed, and as you mentioned, there is a target of choice, and it's gonna be somebody, maybe a backliner of some sort of Salmon, forced to use as bio or for themselves, and Sork's Deadeye beautifully finds the Moira, lacking a tiny bit here. Galaxy gets booped out and then boom, or hindered out, excuse me, and then shut down by Consta before inevitably Molly does find a beautiful elimination onto the opposing Cassidy. With that being said, though, Boop Troop still holding strong as they possibly can, and there they go. They clean up Captain Crunch and they get the point flip.
And they have started to build up to some more ultimates here as well. As, I mean, the side of Primordius Rising continues to just play kind of split. They're not really grouping up in these fights, and it's allowing Molly to just pick them off one by one on this Doomfist. Same with Jeremy. Cap and Crunch, though, taking down Salmon, bodes well.
Are we walking? Oh, we moving. We roll out of the way, and there's my poor Lucio. Sork does get the revenge kill onto both Consta and Ghosted. What a reversal, but is that going to be enough? Yeah, there's 4 people around the objective. I think Molly kind of just backed out and waited for her team to come back. This should be actually a point flip here, honestly, for Primordius. I think they're going to get the round. Molly's going to go for a touch and goes for the meteor strike, forcing that overtime to be enacted, and does rain down terror and flies right back out. Just all we are doing is stalling until Salmon comes back with that coalescence, and the EMP is still online, mind you. There it is. Onto Salmon it goes, shutting down the coalescence, shutting down any chance of Boop Troop taking this point away from Primordius.
I mean, that's a really good exchange if you're Primordius, right? You have to give up the sound barrier and the EMP, but you do manage to get out the coalescence as well as the meteor strike, and forcing Molly to swap over to this Orisa, which could potentially prompt Galaxy to swap off of this Sombra as well. I don't know, we might continue to just see this mirror matchup here in a sense, but here we are on point number 3.
I feel like whenever Molly does go back over to Orisa, she might struggle a little bit, especially with the virus of the Sombra, which, as you can see, is the final blow that did send Molly back into that spawn area. Cole gets used by Dai to help this fight continue in its favor for Primordius Rising, and only now there's a point only on lock, and they get the first little bit of tickage in their favor.
And we are now seeing the Ramatra mirror come out from Molly. I don't know if we've actually seen Ramatra this series. I could be mistaken, but I feel like Molly's often opted to go for that Orisa, so that could be the first time here. The Tectonic Shock is coming out from Jeremy early.
Oh, Hainu comes in though. Sork is, no one wants to look at Sork right now, and I would not blame anybody. Captain Crunch does layer that, of course, with the Annihilation, now looking at the back line and leaving so many poor people so vulnerable, so naked without a team, and of course that being Boop Troop, as they are completely felled by Primordius Rising.
You do lose that fight if you're Boop Troop, right? But you get out all the ultimates that are available at the moment. And that's the key, because now you've got your sound barrier online if you're Ghostin', and you can kind of just aggressively use this into Primordius Rising and take this point. Or you can just give this point and go on to point number 5, but I don't think that's what Boop Troop's going to opt for.
Well, they're going to try to go for an aggressive sound barrier with that Deadeye also in tow. It does take out a good chunk of Captain Crunch's health bar, pretty much negating that armor from the Ramatra, and just like that, I mean, it was a very, very, very quick fight here for Boop Troop, but they have a lot of ground to cover. 0 to 99% is no easy feat.
No, it is not. But if we know anything about Boop Troop, they're going to play this incredibly aggressively and try and force Primordius Rising to ult earlier than they want to in map position. Right, so coming into this next point, they are going to have their Coalescence online. Galaxy may just counter it out with EMP. EMP comes out, and Galaxy immediately gets Consta.
Oh, beautiful. What an EMP from Galaxy. Also finding that virus damage amplification as well is so solid here to allow this fight to pretty much go completely away from Boop Troop. They thought they had the positioning in tow, and they thought they had the right choice, but unfortunately, it does not come into fruition that way. We are going to go to that round number 5, as you had alluded to here, Shadow, and honestly would not have it any other way. Finishing things off strong here with Cole and Deadeye in check.
Oh my goodness, Cole, Deadeye, you basically have an Annihilation. Annihilation going to be available from Molly as well. This is going to be a tough fight to try and turn if you're Boop Troop, just because you're at such an ult disadvantage. And Cole Essence comes out early from Daddy.
Oh, they're trying to get this point unlocked and in their favor early on, but that needs to be so weary because we're seeing the Annihilation coming through from Molly, and Jeremy has now found a home on that Reaper, takes care of Sorks in the meantime. Now, Molly is being super pressured out by Captain Crunch. Now here comes the Annihilation just to kind of put in a little bit of that damage amplification back online here, putting some of that power back into Primordius Rising. Everyone kites out of it, though, rendering it almost completely useless. And even better is we're still getting some of these small little kills here and there that are slowly lapping and some staggered eliminations in favor of Boop Troop.
But Sorks getting that Deadeye on the Ghostin is looking a little bit better for Primordius Rising. But Jeremy just being so sneaky on that Reaper, continuing to get kill after kill.
Yeah, mind you, they nerfed Reaper's lifesteal to 25% instead of 30%, but still a lot to deal with if you're in that 1v1 scenario. Soundbarrier gets beautifully used, and oh no, can we get the spec? We surely do, but we lose the objective in the meantime, and we lose Molly. Captain Crunch is back in the fray, back in that front line seat, and baiting out and forcing out some of these imperative cooldowns from Boop Troop's people. Sorks, once again, beautiful headshot knocking at Concept once more, and Captain Crunch has pretty much single-handedly kept the point alive with the help of Sorks as well on the Cassidy.
I mean, once again, great retaliation from Primordius Rising. They're having to respond to this Reaper swap on the fly, and they are slowly but surely doing it. Both teams pretty even right now. Jeremy going to have this Death Blossom. They've been really sneaky so far on this Reaper, so I wouldn't be surprised if they caught somebody out. Galaxy does have the EMP online, and they can potentially catch the team out early if they get in good position for this.
They're looking for, there's a 2-2-1 split happening here for the side of Boop Troop. They're trying to find Sombra. They do find Galaxy, scouting him out early enough. Now both Coles will be expended here, but one will last a slight bit more than the other. Of course, Daddy having used his later. Now Molly has another Annihilation online, gonna be proccing it early. Here's the EMP as well, and the Death Blossom finds nothing. Absolutely nothing in the stairway. We're in overtime here, and there's Annihilation still going on from both Molly and Captain Crunch, but the Vortex rains down on Salmon, and the Annihilation is still finding targets. It is Primordius Rising who have found the mini reverse sweep here on Saravasa, and they move on to evening up the scoreboard.
Oh, Primordius Rising, they're you might say they're rising to the challenge at the moment, because this has been an insane flip, especially on that map specifically. That was an insane flip because Boop Troop was pretty much dominating those first 2 points uncontested, and then eventually Captain Crunch and the gang, just continue to somehow be alive all the time. I don't know what else to say. Like, Captain Crunch just seems to be all but unkillable on every tank they've been playing tonight.
No, whenever Captain Crunch is able to play that Ramatra, it has been a problem, and now I'm feeling like Boop Troop might want to start using that Ramatra ban. Better now than never, right? Better at some point in map number 5 that we're going to next. But we're going to go to a very quick break here, let our team settle down after those 2 maps, and we're going to see you guys on the other end and see where our map 5 and of course map 6 are going to take us. Oh, we are so back. It is 2-2 right now. If you're just tuning in, we are in the middle, quite literally the halfway point of the grand finals of the NA Open Division here on CGL for Season 16. It's Boop Troop versus Primordius Rising. Boop Troop were looking real good, right, Shadow? They were at 2-0. They were looking to take Circle Royale, and then suddenly Primordius Rising, something rose inside of them, and they have now even up the scoreboard between Circuit Royale and New Junk City. Now we go to map number 5 here, where things can now finally get back to a more advantageous playing field.
I would certainly say so, and the map that does come out is going to be Runasapi. Boop Troop picking Runasapi here out of our push maps. I mean, it makes sense to me. At this point, these two teams have shown that they can play a lot of the same things to a very similar level. So I'm not... I don't know. I think it's really just going to be who can make those plays, and does Boop Troop go for the Ramatra ban here? Right, because I really feel like that's the key thing. Do we get rid of Ramatra and let Cap'n Crunch stop giving us these hands that have been given out for free?
Oh.
And it looks like that is what's going to happen.
That was so fast, too. They were like, we're not playing no games. Ramatra! And call it a day. Now, with that Ramatra ban in mind, I think, you know, if you have a brain, of course, Primordius Rising absolutely do have a brain. They knew it was coming at some point. They didn't know if it was going to come map 5 or map 6 or even map 7, right? They didn't know when it was going to approach, but they knew it was going to come out in some way, shape, or form. So now you have the option, right? You can ban out Cassidy. You can ban out just a Brig. Brig can also be a good ban here. Honestly, I think Juno Brig is really strong on Runasapi. So this makes complete sense as to why they're targeting one half of that backline that Boop Troop have been playing really, really well. And this also gives a little bit more lax, or it gives the Galaxy and Sorks a little bit more lax, right, to play things like Genji, things like Cassidy, and not be booped back by a Brig all day.
I think, too, it's like a two-pronged thing where it's like, okay, you got rid of Ramatra. Ramatra is really good at just pummeling Brig if he can get anywhere in her vicinity. And so you take away the thing that can stop Brig, that stops Brig from being like an unkillable support. So let's get Brig up out of here too, because we don't want to deal with this rallied up Brig that just can't die, and this Brig, as you said, constantly booping people away. You actually have to break the shield now. You can't just get around it with Ramatra pummels. So I like both of these bans from both teams. They both make perfect sense.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what Captain Crunch is going to go towards. I mean, we did see this Sigma come out from him, and that Sigma had a lot of value, especially when we saw it on Midtown and we saw it on Circuit Royale, especially Circuit Royale. Oh my goodness! But with that being said, our players are loading into Runasapi as we speak. A little bit of a peek into the alpacas here, and look at this. Primordius Rising showing us something that we haven't really seen quite yet. Yes, it's Galaxy's Tracer. Yes, it's the Cassidy. Yes, it's the Kira Lucio. But not the Hazard from Captain Crunch. I'm excited to see how the Hazard fares, especially against Molly's Zarya with the Reaper from Jeremy.
I think it's going to be difficult for Hazard to get super high value here, just because, as you said, it's a Zarya, a Reaper, a lot of characters that can really get away from Hazard on this team. There's not anybody that's really easy to get on top of with this Hazard, so I think this is going to prove to be difficult, but if anybody can pull it off, Captain Crunch can.
Oh, look at one headshot from Daddy onto Consta, and my man is out of there immediately, but the jagged wall is not enough to keep Captain Crunch away from the claws and clutches of Jeremy's Reaper. Molly is able to also find Spec in the meantime. We lose Consta during the fight, but really the numbers are in the favor of Boop Troop. Now they have a little bit of meter advantage over Primordius.
I do like Cap'n Crunch swapping over to the Zarya. It gives you a little bit more survivability against this Reaper, but that's your real crux right now of your issue. Reaper, Jeremy on this Reaper is just going to stop you from being able to do much of anything until he is dealt with.
Yeah, it's gonna be it's a tall order to ask for, because you have Galaxy and Sork pretty much on that job, and Sork does it with flying colors. Beautifully done, taking care of that Reaper early in the engagement and making sure that these guys cannot really put too much pressure back onto Captain Crunch. Now they're pushing into that middle area, and they're going to try to find Salmon, but I think Salmon is able to slide on by like the slippery character that he is. Now, Primordius Rising have some meters on the board here.
A great retreat from Boop Troop, not allowing any more players to go down here. if Galaxy can win that 1v1 against Consta, it could prove incredibly fruitful. But losing Cap and Crunch pretty much stops any semblance of fight that was about to happen in this round.
Yeah, heavy on the about. I mean, it happened right in front of our eyes, and it happened in a blink, you know? And that's really just Boop Troop retaking the objective, and they have things building up quickly. Jeremy and Salmon, of course, notably the ones closest to their ultimates here.
Yes, absolutely. Primordius rising. Galaxy does have the Pulse Bomb online, and Sork's going to have that Deadeye available to them as well. Those could be incredibly key ultimates. If Galaxy can catch somebody out early with this Pulse Bomb, that would be ideal, but it's going to be really hard with all the different abilities that can really save you from Pulse Bomb here.
Not only that, but also saving them from a dead eye. They need to kite out of that so quickly because these sightlines are so good for a Cassidy here. Galaxy comes in for the engagement, tries to look for a pulse bomb, but actually baits out a bubble and then backs out immediately. Now we have Salmon using that Kitsune Rush. Daddy only 2% away from his own, so can't really mirror it here. And more so, we can't even get the Deadeye out in time to stop it. This is going to be a big opportunity for Boop Troop to not only push Primordius Rising all the way back, but they're also going to get that, they're also going to get the checkpoint here as well.
That was honestly such a good grab right there. Just making sure that you were able to confirm all those kills and stagger them out. But the bot has not been moving this entire time. So, I mean, just honestly, great job from Primordius not letting the bot get too out of control there. But coming into this next fight, we do have a lot of ults available from both sides. Sork's going to pop the Deadeye early.
Sure are, forcing both bubbles to be used and actually charging up the secondary one. But again, you can see Molly is struggling a little bit, has to kind of strafe a little bit with the shift AD. But that pulse bomb, I mean, beautifully done, combined with that Graviton Surge from Captain Crunch is gonna be a simple way to shut down Molly before before she gets going. And we have a little bit of a stack on to Ghost and ideally from Galaxy that should come to fruition. And Daddy also taking Consta out of the way.
Yeah, I mean, Ghostin having the schmoves right there, managing to get away from Galaxy. You thought that was going to be a definite stagger kill onto that Lucio, but managing to get away. Spec now needs to build up to this sound barrier as soon as possible. Jeremy does have the Death Blossom online, but there are quite a few abilities available for the side of Primordius that can deter a lot of this damage that's going to come in from the Death Blossom.
It's gonna be rough, and yeah, Jeremy just completely seeks out Spec early just to make sure that sound barrier is not gonna get procced anytime soon. Even more so, it wasn't even online. Only 4% away from completion before, of course, Spec is taken down. But that does give Boop Troop a little bit of a leg up as well, as they have the bot back in their favor.
And they should be able to get the bot back up to this forward spawn once again. You're not too far behind if you're Primordius Rising, but you really can't let this bot get much further than it already is. You really want to prevent this from going any further as Spec pops the sound barrier early.
Okay, nice. Now looking for Salmon. Galaxy finds a melee kill onto the Kirk. Now teleport over to the opposing high ground. Sorks is set up and ready for some damage. Doesn't have the Wraith form though, but Captain Crunch finally getting at least one win against the Molly's Zarya. Even more so, finding Jeremy at the same time. Costa does find a unaware Sork for a second there up on the upper high ground while the bot is being taken away by Primordius. This should result in some sort of late stagger from somebody.
You would think that would eventually happen, but we have forgotten the bot. The bot is not moving, but Galaxy and Daddy taking down their counterparts respectively. And now Primordius can start to get this bot moving a little bit towards this midpoint. But Jeremy doing a great job of just allowing their team to get the forward spawns. So now they're all going to be here for this fight.
Oh, got on Surge in response to the Kitsune Rush. I love it, but Molly, I mean, really just seeks out Sork so early. Salmon also kind of getting active in the meantime with the Kitsune Rush to boot, and suddenly Primordius Rising, I love the grab to help mitigate that Kitsune Rush, but the grab was right in the middle of the rush, so Boop Troop were able to kind of all get pushed into that advantage of having Salmon's Kitsune Rush right in front of their feet.
That's a tough fight to lose if you're Primordius, right? You really needed to win that fight definitively just so you could start getting some progress. You're just winning the fight down here at this end of the map and then losing the fight back at the middle of the map, and you can't do that. You got to string together a couple of fight wins together in a row. Grav comes out early and Salmon takes down Daddy.
Oh, and takes down also Captain Crunch at the same exact time. This time the Grav being used against the Continuing Rush, it was so good for Boop Troop here. They were able to get such a big advantage. They lose Spec in the meantime, but really not too shabby as they're going to get even more progression. I mean, they're going to have 96 meters to 39. That's about a 60-meter difference, and it's climbing as we continue to see Primordius Rising try to get these back in the last 3 minutes.
And these are the perfect set of ultimates to have to try and continue winning this fight too. You got Sound Barrier and Death Blossom on. The bubble Death Blossom comes through, does a lot of damage, but doesn't confirm any kills just yet.
Oh, but Sork tries to do, the same thing with himself, and it's just shut down. It's met with so much aggression from Boop Troop as they are continuing to push this objective back into the latter half of Ruinasapi. Only 2.5 minutes to go. We have Pulse Bomb, but we have nothing else really to boot from Primordius. I mean, we had 93% above from Daddy's Kitsune Rush.
Yeah, that is tough because Salmon has Kitsune Rush, right? And you're at this point now where if you win this fight, that's map. And here comes the Kitsune Rush out early.
Oh, Poson finds Consta of all people, but Captain Crunch, I think, was trying to do too much with that secondary fire and actually self-destructs in the middle of the engagement. Numbers are looking so good for the side of Boop Troop. It's just poor old Galaxy trying to go for the touch, waiting for the attackers to respawn fast enough, but it's only going to result in failure. There goes the Lucio. Then here comes that Wrecking Ball just to spin around and spin to win, and the bot has left actually for a second there. Hold on. Primordius Rising come back, but they're forced onto this ball composition instead.
This is like the most reverse sweep you have to do. Like, there is more actually. It could be 0 meters, but like this is the most you have to cap. You literally have to full cap if you're Primordius Rising, and all you've got right now is this Sound Barrier from Spec. If this Sound Barrier can be absolutely massive and perfectly counter Molly's grab, this could be huge.
Oh, there it is. And Molly was looking for Spec in the meantime, knowing that Sound Barrier was online, but beautifully done coming in from Spec to make sure that we get the Sound Barrier off in time, and the peel from the team, making sure that Spec stayed alive in the fight anyway. Sorks is taken down, unfortunately, by Consta again, right outside that Wraith form. Kitsune Rush needs to be used as well, going between these entryways of the middle of the objective. Here comes a slam dunk, and Captain Crunch doesn't have any more of that secondary, of that shield over time. They retreat to get the Mega Pack on the coastline of things, and a roll right on top. But Daddy and company are left abandoned on the objective in the throes of the Zarya and Reaper duo from Molly and Jeremy.
And they have been quite the menace on this map. Sorks does take that 1v1, but again, you haven't managed to get any more bot progress, and you're in a forward spawn situation once again. You have to win out now, right? You got to win like 5-6 fights back to back. Galaxy getting that kill onto Consta is a good start, but it's going to take a lot to start flipping this map for Primordius.
Yeah, and we do have a swap, right? Spec does get off of that Lucio, goes over to Wuyong, but you're facing that Death Blossom from Jeremy at some point, right? It could come this fight, it can come next fight if Primordius Rising win the fight. They have the mirrored ultimates here with the Pulse Bomb and the Death Blossom to boot, so it comes down to who gets the better one of the day. Again, this is not first to 3, so this is not the end of the world, but the advantage is, the advantage is very much something you gotta talk about. And Spec does find Consta. Salmon gets a 1 up onto Daddy, and Molly takes care of Sork. Wow, we had used the Death Blossom. The minefield have been expended onto the objective, so no one can really touch it, but Molly's using that to get even more charge on the field here. Shadow, there's a Pulse Bomb. It finds nothing but Galaxy themselves, and there's a Graviton Surge. That should ideally be the icing on the cake here. And there it is, another lack of a touch, but to be fair, I don't think Captain Crunch could have done any more.
No, you were just in a tough situation right there if you're Primordius Rising. And it really was just once Boop Troop got that forward spawn, they would lose a fight, then turn around and win a fight. So it was resulting in like no cart push. There were some good plays made from both teams throughout the course of that entire map. but it really just felt like the Reaper Zarya was just kind of rolling through the entirety of Primordius Rising for that entire map, and Primordius just couldn't match it, right? Sork's a really strong hit scan player, maybe not as comfortable on that Reaper pick.
Yeah, I had to agree. At some point, you had to kind of bite the bullet and mirror that Reaper at some point, especially when Jeremy's getting so much value on the character, almost for free, especially when you have the luxury of a Zarya bubble to expend at any moment. Now, this is finally match point here for Boop Troop in the first of 4 best of 7, and Primordius Rising are now in the hot seat, right? They have the opportunity to not only pick this map number 6, but they also are, map 6, and they also get to pick map 7 if they win map 6. So they have a little bit of an advantage going into these next 2 maps. I believe now we are in the territory of repeating maps, or sorry, repeating modes, not maps though.
Yeah. Yes, there is the chance to repeat some modes here, and this is where I'm actually going to take a look and see what control maps we have as options, because that could be a pick here. Primordius looked really strong, though, on Escort and Flashpoint, so maybe they pull a Suravasa out. You know, they seem to be really strong there. Maybe they pull out a Watchpoint Gibraltar, a Dorado, you know, maybe a new Queen Street. The one that I didn't guess is the one that they actually went with. So this is going to be interesting, I will say. But it does make sense based on what we've seen so far that they would go with this map type, because it was their most successful map type so far. Circuit Royale was by far their best map, and now they've decided to follow that up with a Route 66 pick. And this is going to be their last map pick, potentially. Well, yeah, it's going to be their last map pick for the series, because if they win this, then Boop Troop will get map 7. So yeah, that's... And they're going to get the first ban. First ban, I think, is going to be key here for Primordius. But it's also kind of tough because, you know, what do you go for here for your ban if you're Primordius? I think it almost has to be the Reaper. I don't know if that's a little bit of an overreaction from last map, but I personally would get rid of Reaper here.
I think anything goes. Primordius Rising, they're going fast. I love this. Again, we're speeding right on through this. We've been here for 2 hours in the first of 4 best of 7. Like, I get it. We're getting rid of Lucio. I like it because this also, once again, really puts a hindrance on that Kiriko-Lucio backline that a lot of these teams do kind of tend to default towards. Now, the nice thing about both these teams being so high level is that all 4 support players, from both sides, are very flexible in playing other compositions. We've seen Juno Brig, we've seen Bap, ER, we've seen Bap, we've seen ER, we've seen Kiriko, we've seen Lucy, we've seen everything under the sun here. And while I was saying that, Boop Troop also locked in their ban, they're taking out Ashe. And if you recall, that Ashe, that Bob from Primordius Rising was almost the winning ticket on Circuit Royale more often than not.
It makes perfect sense. Sork's incredibly strong on most hit scans, I would say, but I would say Ashe and Cass have been the 2 that they've been really standouts on throughout the course of this series. So getting rid of that is awesome, quite honestly. You don't have to deal with Dynamite, you don't have to deal with Bob. This is a situation where you're either going to see the cast of the Sojourn, most likely, from Sorks here, right? We haven't seen the Sojourn yet, but if the Sojourn does come out, it leaves open the ability for Molly to go back to that Doomfist pick, right? This is a dive map. I think Doomfist could be incredibly strong here. Just based on the plays we've seen from Molly so far, I think that could be something that works here.
Yeah, I have to agree with you wholeheartedly. I do think without the Ashe, you can see... It's kind of the same thing as Circuit Royale, where you can see so many different snipers, especially Widowmaker come back online. But as a reminder, she got banned out on Circuit Royale, and now she can come back as a viable pick, especially right out the spawn room. Find someone kind of peeking out their head across the canyon, and maybe find an opening for the attackers, which of course will be Primordius Rising, as the side of Boop Troop decide, you know what, we're going to defend first. We're going to go for the Winston Kiri double flex deep support backline of the Kiri Ana, and Jeremy is on Freya. I am very excited to see how Freya is going to be working here, especially as you had mentioned, she got a couple of adjustments, right? Some nerfs and some buffs to her kit.
Yeah, I think it's an overall positive just because you'll get more value out of that ultimate, and Bolo's online so often that I think it's good to be able to get more value out of that ult. It feels more, just looking at the numbers, it seems like it's going to be more like Pulse Bomb now as opposed to just being thrown out and not really much happening with it.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you. And also, we want to really quickly note the backline, the composition coming in from Primordius Rising. We have, of course, Spec and Daddy on the Juno and Yari, respectively, coupling that with the Hazard from Captain Crunch. This could be a really good, kind of elimination composition, whereas Buchu are playing a very set-up-based comp with that Winston in tow and the Ana, of course. And Salmon, as always, these headshots have been so proficient against Galaxy, shutting down the Tracer immediately. Now, Primordius Rising are trying to find at least one up to make the playing field a little more even, but not gonna find it in the meantime. They're forced to retreat completely.
I talked about how often that Bolo's online. It already is. Nobody else is above 50. Sorks getting the kill onto Salmon, though, might be the opening Primordius needs to really get this point moving.
Yeah, you can see Galaxy setting up to look at the Ana without that Kiriko, keeping Ghostin safe. So that's why you're seeing Ghostin trying to disengage. And with that being said, with the Ana now completely out of the fray here, there's no healing here for Jeremy or Molly to come through. Salmon comes back from the spawn area, great, but it's almost a little bit too late here. Jeremy had also used a Bola shot, and it really didn't get too much value as Primordius Rising really utilized the lack of support to their favor.
And again, it's Sorks. It's been Sorks getting these opening kills that just allows the team to really walk in. Galaxy getting close on this Pulse Bomb could be big time, but Molly immediately engaging onto the back line of Primordius, getting some good value in with these jumps.
Oh, what a nade onto Galaxy. Also going to see the Captive Sun get expended from the Iyari, but Primordius Rising are down to an arc with two of their most impeccable characters of the Hazard and Tracer. You can see Daddy trying to get at least a cheeky one up on Jeremy, but to take a 1v1 against Freya, you gotta be really brave to do that.
Yeah, I understand. You feel that confidence in that moment. I've landed all but the one shot, and then you show up and Jeremy's full HP. We've all been there before, right? So tough moment there. Boop Troop going to have both support ults online, the Pulse Bomb online, and the Bolo, and just everything available to them. This downpour and this overclock have to be big time from Primordius Rising if they really want to get some good cart push here.
Well, I can't say the same about that Pulse Bomb. Goes completely on the floor here for Consta, and that's actually going to allow Galaxy to get the one up. Molly, though, committed onto the back line. Of course, Nano in sight, and the Primal always got... Ooh, we die with Primal. We die with Primal. My head is shaking. It's so bleak here, Shadow, but Jeremy might be able to actually clean up the fray here. A little bit. Captain Crunch does take care of Ghostin in the meantime, and Jeremy is followed up quickly thereafter by Galaxy, and this should be a result in a completion. There's a little bit of a contest from the side of Consta, but it's very much quickly, not very long.
Well, there's the Primal you were talking about coming out again from Molly here. Staggering the card out a little bit, but honestly, you probably could have just held that ult and used it later at that point. And now you're down quite a few ultimates. You've got the Bolo available to you once again because, like I said, I guess that ultimate's just on 24/7 now, especially with the way Jeremy is landing these shots. Molly going to go over to the Diva, so it makes the Primal a little bit better, and you're going to be able to have that defense matrix to be a little bit more defensive.
No, for sure, and that's exactly what it's meant to do, right? And it's gonna help at least alleviate a lot of that pressure from this, from the Tracer, from the Sojourn, who does have overclock, mind you. Jeremy takes care of Daddy's pylon, unfortunately, and here's a Kitsune rush. The Kitsune rush coming in from Salmon right along this field, and the Bola shot is so beautifully placed right in this close corridor sight line from Jeremy 87. This does take care of Spec, and it's pretty much, oh, we lose Diva. We lose Molly in the meantime, though.
That is tough because, as you can see, the cart is still moving forward, right? It has not stopped this entire time. We're rounding this corner. Cap'n Crunch, full HP, just staying alive, doing a good job, as per usual, of just being unkillable on basically every tank they decide to play. Galaxy looking for something with this Pulse Bomb here.
Good pressure onto Salmon. Oh, force up that Suze, I believe, also early from the Kiriko. Boop Troop are still working with just a Nano to boot from Ghostin, but they are going to have to face the entire... What a sleep. What... Good night Daddy sleep! Oh my god, and then the nade onto Captain Crunch. Ghostin, you are low-key my new MVP. What a sleep into the anti-nade, shutting down pretty much single-handedly this attack phase from Primordius Rising.
That is a crazy play. I do want to mention, though, that cart is still being pushed forward, right? But Ghostin making plays once again. Galaxy winning out that 1v1, though, could prove crucial as the downpour does come in.
It does come in. I think it also takes the Ana set down on that high ground. No one's able to really follow up on effectively onto Ghostin, so it is kind of left a little bit, you know, unchecked there. The bullet shot comes in from Jeremy, and it doesn't really result in anything, but Galaxy gets his own one up onto the Freight here. That's the pull jump onto the Ana. Overclock finally committed from Zorx, trying to demech this D.Va as quickly as possible while Galaxy is in the back line. Really capitalizing on people forced to reposition because of the overclock, because of everything going on. Galaxy has no recall here, but still finds Salmon either way with almost little to no care. Bomb must be used in the last 30 seconds. Yo, no. What do you mean we find one with the D.Va Bomb? We're dying to D.Va Bomb in the big 25. Can Galaxy make it back? Can Galaxy get the demech? We absolutely do. But there's an orbital ray as well from Spec, and that ideally on paper should be enough for Primordius to full cap second point.
What an insane back and forth this has been throughout this entire map, right? Both teams just making plays left, right, and center. Like you said, dying to D.Va Bomb in 2025, almost 2026. Give it a couple weeks.
Oh my god, chill.
It's been a crazy series. And now, Salmon, the MVP, has the ability to potentially stop this push right here with a really good Kitsune rush on this cart.
Don't even need it. Don't even need it. Jeremy coming in with the beautiful first pick onto Zorx. We also see concentrated out for so both Sojourns are no longer in the fray, not even a part of the conversation. But Ghostin is still a menace. It's support, not healer. We're gonna get rid of Galaxy with that critical hit multiplier as well. With that being said, Primordius Rising only have less than a minute to push this point as far as they possibly can with the hazard in tow. Pulse Bomb is, of course, going to be online here. Ghostin has another nano to boot, and will be using it on Molly, who goes straight for the kill, goes straight for the jugular of the back line. And with that being said, it should be the end of the Juno. Oh, what a, whoa. That's not good. That's horrible. What a response. What a punish on the overextension.
I mean, that was just two supports keeping each other alive there, and great job by Primordius Rising of just capitalizing on Molly being all the way in their backline like that. You're still getting this cart push, right? This is last fight, so you got to keep somebody on this cart. You've got a downpour, and you have a Pulse Bomb online. But don't look now. Jeremy has the Bolo online. They've been pretty good with that ultimate so far.
Primordius Rising do not C9 this. Point. Oh, thank goodness. We have the downpour coming from Captain Crunch. And I don't know if it finds anyone exactly. Overtime is halfway down, and there's no one to touch. Oh, thank goodness. Thank you, Galaxy, for a beautiful touch. But Molly is right there to take care of Spec. Bomb is going to mitigate anyone from wanting to go for the touch. It takes Captain Crunch once again out of the fight. There's a remake. There's a second life on, at least on life, and Galaxy is being pestered by this Sojourn and the Freya. And even though Primordius Rising tried their absolute damnedest, they could not stay on the objective. They could not live on that objective, but they have pushed it effectively to third point.
They have gotten a really solid push here. This was back and forth the entire time, right? The entire time. These two teams are just showing you how evenly matched they are at this point. And you could see it right here looking at the stat block, right? Did it feel like Galaxy was constantly landing some pulse bombs and getting kills? Well, there you go. It shows right there in the kill feed that that's exactly what was happening. But it's been incredibly back and forth for this entire map. All you have to do is win. I think if you're Primordius, just focus really hard on winning this first fight, because if you can start to get your ult snowballing on first point, it gives you a really good opportunity to just first point hold. Escort maps, all of them are notorious for you getting first point held after getting a solid push on your attack.
It's so interesting here seeing Boop Troop. You know, we saw Molly start things off with, I believe, that Winston, right? And then she goes over to the D.Va. on that defense, and I think it did a lot of work, especially having that bomb to force a lot of no touching allowed kind of situations for Primordius Rising to deal with, and even Captain Crunch kind of being the recipient end of that bomb twice now. But now Captain Crunch is going to be mirroring the D.Va so far, at least right now, as Molly does. Yep, okay, we're committing to the D.Va. We have a D.Va mirror on our hands, and now Sorks is back on the Cassie, which I really, really like here.
Oh, I enjoy Sorks on this hero as well. I want to point out that Spec and Daddy running a Brig Ilyari, I don't think I've ever seen that combination of supports before, and I'm really curious if there's going to be enough healing for Captain Crunch to stay up in this mech.
That's one. Ideally, alternatively, if everyone's dead, you don't gotta heal that much. And that's maybe the idea behind Daddy playing the Iyari as well. But Boop Troop are pushing the objective. It's almost halfway through first point, and they're hell-bent on staying on this high ground, staying on the gas station, as Boop Troop tried their best to kind of bully Primordius off of the high ground. Now Captain Crunch, as you mentioned, going really low, does get healed up a little bit by Spec and Daddy, but it's not gonna be too much. I mean, honestly, most of the healing is gonna be really in the hands of Daddy's Iyari here, while Spec is there to protect the fray from any dives coming in from from Molly. Now, hold on, nothing's happened. No one's died quite yet, Shadow, and even more so, there's no D-Mex either, and it just comes down to who gets the first pick, and still nobody.
It's a really tight back and forth. Nobody really overstepping their bounds just yet. Jeremy has the Bolo online. That could be the opening ultimate that they need to really do something here, but somebody's going to have to create that opening. Probably Molly on this D.Va, just creating an opening for this Bolo to come in.
Yeah, but while they're on this high ground and, you know, trying to create or negate an opening, unfortunately, they hunker down a little bit too long, right? They unfortunately do lose Daddy in the meantime with the Bola shot, and Salmon and the rest of the team of Boop Troop are able to really pick up the pieces that Primordius Rising were allowing these guys to lay on the floor. They didn't go for a touch. They weren't really able to. They didn't go first with the Cap of Sun from Daddy, and now they're staggering him, but he's wasting a little bit of their time. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I was like, I understand the stagger, but also the cart. Let's get it, let's let the cart continue moving forward. So, good job from Captain Crunch there of just not allowing yourself to be staggered in a poor way. So, great work there. Boop Troop going to have everything but that Bolo online for this fight, and Primordius going to have all their ults online too. Keep an eye on Galaxy. Stick is just gorgeous from Galaxy.
Oh, the E was almost better. Molly taking care of Daddy's Captain Sun, but it was almost like a distraction while the rest of the team of Primordius Rising rise to the occasion and take care of what should have been a better defense on first point, but they're here to do it again on second.
Second point, potentially a spot you can really, bunker down on this map. There's a lot of areas you can poke from, and if you can just get an early kill, which Sorks has been known to do for this Primordius team, it could be huge.
I mean, does anyone go for anything right now? I mean, Spec has a rally as well, which is really good, especially in the face of the continued rush from Salmon. Either way, again, no one really going down first, and I think that's also a sign of the respect these players have for one another. They don't want to doubt anybody, and that's why Galaxy finds Jeremy, who is trying to go away. The D.Va bomb does have to get used just to stay alive and stabilize, and thankfully Molly does retreat to the safety of the high ground of the rooftop in order to not get D-Mac from the D.Va bomb. But of course, she has her very own and rips it completely loose, but the Hinder does take care of Molly in the meantime. No front line here for Boop Troop, but can our DPS and supports make a comeback either way?
We're going to see right here as Consta pops this overclock. I doubted the back line of Spec and Daddy running these supports, but being able to live through that dive was insanely good as Captain Crunch eats the Bolo.
Oh, beautifully done. And Anthony from Ghost has been so impactful in favor of Boop Troop here. Primordius Rising have been feeling those a lot more here. But while we say, they lost Molly in the meantime, Jeremy and Consta are so good at picking up the pieces either way. Daddy comes in with the Captain Sun, trying to find a target of choice, and there it comes in the face of Jeremy. Also followed up, of course, by that D.Va. We see the D-Mech, and that should, again, be another one defensive phase here for Primordius Rising. Losing Daddy in the meantime, but not too shabby as they get a full team kill, and they have at least the Deadeye in tow.
And Galaxy once again landing and sticking that pulse bomb onto Ghostin. Right, just getting the high value targets over and over and over again on this Tracer. And like you said, Deadeye going to be online, getting pretty close to the bomb, which is mostly just a remake at this level. And Spec having that rally available, I think is going to be key. You're going to want to match that with Salmon's Kitsune Rush as they have been doing.
Well, Hainu gets used here, and everyone has kind of walked away for a little bit here. Sork does not really get too much, but in the meantime, Ghosten finally getting that revenge, that little lick back against Galaxy, right? Taking care of the Tracer in the meantime. And look at the setup here. It's so wonderfully done from the side of Boop Troop. They have their honor on the opposing side. They're looking for this Brick, who is singled out on the low ground. Now forced to use that rally against the Diva, and now it's basically a matter of the fact that there's a Kitsune Rush on the field here that this Diva from Mali can use, alongside that Nano Boost committed onto the backline of the Cassidy, and of course that Kiriko from Daddy here. While that is happening on the low ground, we see Jeremy taking care of basically everybody alongside Molly, and just like that, in the face of a rally, in the face of the Diva bomb, it was not really going to allow Primordius Rising to retake that defensive positioning.
Here we go. We got 2 minutes, 10 seconds. 2 minutes, 10 seconds for Boop Troop to complete this map. And if they can, they will win this series. Otherwise, Primordius Rising trying to force a map 7 here. It's going to be key to win this fight. I think you need to win this fight just to give yourself a really good chance of holding this here.
They need a good defense, and it's not going to start off well with how low Captain's Ray going. I mean, they're trying to get the DMAC here, and everyone's body blocking to save Captain, and barely does Captain get actually enough HP to stay alive and stabilize, but there's just so much follow-up. But there's Sork's beautifully done, getting that elimination onto Consta first, and this completely disrupts the momentum of Boop Troop a little bit here. This relieves pressure off of Captain. This also forces Molly to regroup with the team here, while Galaxy once again has the pulse bomb and is looking for that Ana.
Well, Galaxy, been a menace on this Tracer all game. Can it continue right now? Looks like they're going in, and they go down to Consta.
Hold on, we have Stork's Deadeye. Hold. They're going to keep pushing the bot because these guys are backing up a little too much for my liking. And there it is. It's going to get nobody once again. Galaxy's going to come back from the spawn room with, of course, that pulse bomb in hand. But Molly and Jeremy have basically their own mini bombs and big old bombs on deck here. And one of them gets eaten right up like dinner, like a steak at a steakhouse. The pulse bomb goes on to the Ana, making that backline only rely on the Kiriko here. Galaxy finds Salmon in the meantime, forcing the Kitsune Rush to not even be expended. And Molly is going to be left for dead, forced to use that bomb in the last 30 seconds. Oh no! Primordius Rising have some things working here, but they're going to have the Diva back from Captain Crunch.
Oh, this is a tough spot to be in. The Kitsune Rush comes out early here for Boop Troop. They do have the rally to counter it, but they're going to have to get a kill quick or the Kitsune is going to take over.
Oh no, oh no, oh no, it was a misclick. Oh no, we nano okay, it's okay. Goes to Nano's Kiriko instead, and now you can see Salmon trying to get active on the backline as Galaxy is out of the way, but Sorks does take care of the Freya. In the meantime, Jeremy is no longer in the fray, and the Nano is now gone from Salmon. That damage up was not longer there. Now the Cassie is going so low. Jeremy goes over to the Venture, maybe for a touch, maybe for something, as Daddy's trying to build up to his Kitsune Rush in the last half of this overtime fight. It's overextended here. It's going for so long, and here's the Kitsune Rush. It's so good. Now here comes the kill onto Ghost, and the Deadeye also gets committed as well. You have to peek it. You have to kill Sorks, and it does work. But will it be enough as Captain Crunch is DMAC'd with no bomb? We're going to overtime. Oh, we're going to map number 7. We're going to map number 7. Oh my god.
Oh, Mott, I'm not going to lie to you. Yo, this spec bug is killing me right now.
Yo, I
had such a hard time telling who was winning that fight. But I'm really glad that it's going map 7.
It's going map 7. The colors keep changing. Jeremy keeps going from red team to blue team to red team to blue team. I'm not sure who's dying half the time. I don't know what's going on. But what I do know is we're going to map number 7. And this bug needs to be patched, Blizzard. It is... You're making your Cash's life a whole lot harder. But, Shadow, we have done it. We're going 3-3. We're going to map number 7. Yeah. The Nano! It's devastating, man. It's devastating as a fellow Ana main. Oh, but, listen. We're going to give our players the 3 minutes they need to get some water, hydrate, use a bathroom, all that jazz. As we now allow Boop Troop to finalize where we're going to go for map number 7 of the NA Open Grand Finals. $2,000 on the line here. We'll see you guys in just a couple of minutes.
I don't know what you want. Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side. My love, you say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. You say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. You say you wanna cry, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose.
Guys, I need a longer break actually, because that last game, the map number 6, Route 66, going down to the wire, and was the qualifier to get us to a map 7 in this first 4 best of 7. It is very rare for these series to go on this long. Typically, they'll go 4-1, 4-2 maybe, because momentum builds so well. But it's like Primordius Rising just woke up, and they are really showing Broop Troop what they've learned in not just the regular season, not just in playoffs, but also in the regular season.
Yeah, I mean, Primordius Rising continuing their rise up this tier, right? They were struggling. I would say they were like a middle tier team that was struggling to really break into the top tier for the entirety of this season. And then just ever since they lost their first round series to Zodiacs, they've just been a completely different team, just rolling teams left and right, and now taking Boop Troop all the way to a map 7, which they have selected their map. And it is going to be a control map. We're going to Nepal for map number 7 here. You can't finish out a 7-map series on any type other than control, in my opinion, at least. So I am glad to see control be the choice.
Yeah, I agree, and if you're looking at this, Game 7, all the 7 maps you have gone to, Lijiang Tower ended up in a 2-0 fashion for Boop Troop, right? But, and it kind of makes me a little bit worried, right? But that was 2.5 hours ago. That was past Boop Troop and past Primordius. Primordius have risen, they have awakened themselves, and now we have to talk about the bans.
Yep.
These two teams have had so many good bans per map. There's targeted bans, there's protection bans, there's really calculated and layered bans from both sides here. But here's a quick reminder of what we have banned out from Boop Troop. We have Ramatra is not able to be banned out here. And you know, Shadow, that's where Primordial are wanting to play here.
Oh, absolutely. Looks like they're going to ban out that Sigma, which makes sense. Cap has been really strong on that for this entire series as well. And if I'm Primordius here, I'm getting Symmetra out of here unless I'm trying to play it. We've seen Boop Troop play Symmetra and be kind of a menace on Symmetra, and you don't have the Sigma to kind of just layer in that poke damage to the Sim anymore. So I think Sim should probably be your pick here just to be safe. You don't want to have to deal with the Symmetra.
No, you really don't. There's so many good bans here, but I do think it's going to go towards a DPS ban of some sort. Mind you, Kiriko is completely blacked out because she was banned by both teams here. And, ooh, I'm giggling because Shadow, we've gotten the Reaper ban we were looking for in the previous map. And I'm glad they held true to themselves. They felt confident enough to win Route 66 and then used the Reaper ban for this map number 7.
Yeah, it's set up for Primordius to have a really strong composition here. You don't have to play the Reaper. You can let Sorks run that Sojourn or that Cass. Leave Galaxy on that Tracer where they've just been an absolute menace for the entire series. Like, I don't think they missed one pulse bomb on that Route 66. It was just on Ghostin's head every single time. So the only difficult thing is, though, like I said, if Boop Troop opts to come out here on that Symmetra, you can't let them get set up on point, because once the Symmetra gets set up and starts going, it's going to be hard to deal with.
It really is. Oh, and Ghostin, again, cannot let that Whiff Nano rest heavy on your head. You just can't let it do that, And this time, we're starting things off on, looks like Village. These are all 3 sub-maps, if you guys didn't know. This is all the 3 sub-maps of Nepal in one shot. This is all one map. So they are starting things off on Village first, and then they'll probably go to Sanctum and the Gong at some point, right? Temple, excuse me. So the compass of choice here, Primordius, of course, on the Ramatra Boot Troop, hovering with Jeremy back on that Pharah. Now both Galaxy and Consta swapping to the respective characters of Sojourn and Tracer. Now first fight gonna be looking really good here on the left side entryway for these guys as Jeremy goes for the off angle, leaving the team of Boot Troop for a 4v5 that they will have to rotate away from, as we do see a scout onto Galaxy going towards the back line while the rest of Primordius rotate towards the objective proper, just kind of forcing Boot Troop to come down from their safety nets. And there it is, they're pressuring out the point. They know that Jeremy's up there. It's a matter of the fact of who is going to take down this Pharah first. That being said, Primordius Rising still in the fight here while being peppered down by that Pharah, and poor old Captain just forced to hold that block button.
Yes, the life of a Ramatra. Galaxy takes down Jeremy, though, and that's going to leave a big opening for Primordius to start getting some forward progress here. Boop Troop does get that first cap, though.
They do get the first cap, but they're going to get a lot of people going down early, or later in the fight than necessary. Primordius Rising only allowing Boop Troop to garner around 10% before inevitably they do get the swap here. And they already have... Yo, Deadeye? The new Bola shot? My goodness.
Yeah, I mean, both of these DPS for Primordius, you've got your ults online already. Daddy about to have this amplification matrix online as well. Jeremy getting relatively close on that rocket barrage, but you're set up now, right? You can watch Jeremy from a distance and try and get some of that poke damage in before they get close enough to do anything to you.
I mean, Galaxy's job pretty much is to scout out where Jeremy is at all times to make sure they don't get surprised by his upcoming bullet shot. But Sorks, unfortunately, called out early by Molly. Pulse Bomb does go on the floor, unfortunately whiffing on Molly just a little bit there. Fight is still ongoing. You hear that window get used from the side of Daddy, and Galaxy is going to be able to use that window to force out and take down that Kiriko early in the fight. Molly looking, she has no bubbles. She has no bubbles, and Galaxy is just an unsung hero here for Boop Troop. Jeremy not able to use the barrage whatsoever, and then as Sword comes back from the spawn room, does get a little lick in there before resetting with the team.
I mean, I gotta shout out this backline for Primordius, right? We mentioned earlier that Daddy was getting, like, caught out a lot. It's been the exact opposite ever since Map 3 has started. Right there, Daddy just pulling away Jeremy's attention for almost that entire fight, not allowing them to really put any damage anywhere else. And here comes the sound barrier in from Ghostin early.
Barrage does get used though onto Sorks. Beautiful barrage. Jeremy got a little bit of that damage back onto themselves. But you know what? Jeremy's going to take a little bit of a chill pill here. Only at 7 HP, allowing the rest of the team of Boop Troop to start getting some of these eliminations underway. Captain Crunch did unfortunately use Annihilation when we were down, I believe, 2 people, including Sork. So I'm not sure if that was the best option. But you know what? They got 94%. Now they can start getting things ready here with the sound barrier in their own pocket.
Yeah, they have their sound barrier online, the pulse bomb, and that Deadeye online again from Sorks. Boop Troop, though, having the Grav, the Kitsune, and the pulse bomb of their own online, it's going to be hard to really push into them while they have this Kitsune rush available.
Yeah, they're going to need specs. B is going to have to be so strong here. Booper is still going to be able to keep control of the objective. There's a consideration you were talking about from Salmon, and the response to the sound barrier. Now the grab does get used, and the pulse bomb connected, but Daddy, what a lamp! Unfortunately, not going to be enough to stabilize the team here, as that damage output is very much still registered, even inside that immortality field. Galaxy, what tracking? My goodness, onto Consta. Ghostin finds his Sorks anyway, so Galaxy has to retreat at the end of the day.
And we're getting in the neighborhood of that last fight territory. You might get 2 fights out of this, but this is the fight that you really got to win if you're Primordius. You got your Amp Matrix and you got both your DPS ultimates coming into this fight, so you really need to get some high value out of this Pulse Bomb and Deadeye.
Oh, to trade Jeremy for Daddy. A little bit weary. I think we might see Primordius Rising might need to use that Deadeye and or Pulse Bomb earlier than expected, especially that they don't have their Baptiste there with them to keep them nice and supple. That being said, Boop Troop have yet to get towards any of their own ultimates. Ghostin will be closest to that beat, of course, but in the face of the Deadeye, the Pulse Bomb, and that window, we're tickering down closer to these last fight territories, and here comes Galaxy wrapping around.
Amp Matrix does come out from Daddy, forcing a little point possession as Ghostin manages to get that sound barrier online. Ghostin does get the kill onto Sorks, though. That could be huge.
That could be it, and then Spec goes down right after. I mean, you're, again, only relying on Daddy to stay alive, and they just keep pressuring out that Baptiste and that Ramatra. I mean, really just out-damaging the heal output of the Baptiste. That's all that she wrote. Primordius Rising unable to expend that Deadeye whatsoever in the forces of this Zarya and this Pharah, but arguably this is where the Pharah reign might come to an end as we move into some not very Pharah-friendly submaps.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to be having Sanctum here. This is probably the least Pharah-friendly map of the 3, so this would probably be the moment I would expect something different to come out from Boop Troop. Looks like for the time being, they're going to be potentially opting to stay on the Pharah and go for the Orisa this time. I think it being Sanctum as well leaves open the ability for Sorks to swap over to the Ashe if they want to. You can stay on the Cass as well, but I think this gives the ability to, yeah, and there it is, the Ashe going to be available here. I think Dynamite is incredibly strong on Sanctum.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you. I mean, you're really forcing these tighter knit quarters, and Jeremy is actually not gonna swap off that Pharah. And honestly, the potential of environmental kills, especially on that in the middle objective, is kind of enticing to most like DPS players. So Boop Troop are gonna continue to play with this Orisa instead from Molly, Salmon, and Ghost, and of course continuing to hunker down with this Kiriko and Lucio. Primordius Rising now having Spec on the Wu Yong. I love Spec on Wu Yong so much. They were able to get so many of these last minute kills here. But Lamp gets used out early and they retraded off of Ghostin. So no speed boost available here for Molly, as she is a little bit called out in multiple angles from Primordius Rising. Sorks just now flicks over to Consta and just kind of annihilates the Tracer early on.
Yeah, an absolutely great aim from Sorks, as we've seen this whole series. If you're Primordius Rising, you really need to kill these two that are just stuck out here. You've got to deal with Molly, not just let them stand there and survive until the team gets back, and they're just not able to capitalize on that split. Never mind, there's this capitalization on the split, just the other side of it.
Beautifully done from Galaxy. I mean, that melee kill is so quick, right? I feel like I didn't even really register it in time, and I'm not even sure that Constant did either. Now, Jeremy does go for a very long rounded rotation and kind of arrives to fight a little bit later, so it's a very clean pickup and clean up here for the side of Primordius to continue keeping this point in their favor.
They're so close on so many ultimates here, are Primordius. The Kitsune Rush is already online from Boop Troop, so really, if you're Primordius, you just need to build up something before Salmon's able to pop this Kitsune Rush. The Rocket Barrage is available here too from Jeremy. You just need to make sure that you're keeping tabs on where Jeremy is at all times so they can't get a good barrage off.
I feel like Jeremy has to keep tabs on where Galaxy is too, because Galaxy is constantly on that Pharah, making sure that Jeremy does not get any value on their character. The Boot Trip, as you mentioned, the Kitsune Rush does get used early on. That I love what this Kitsune Rush is. I mean, it completely negates this window as well, forcing the land to be used selfishly from Daddy. Now you get pulled into the Terror Surge, and I mean, it's just a cleanup of the Sentry. We do trade off, of course, that Genji for the Baptiste, and wow, that's all happening. It's a lot of trade-offs, but I want to say definitively that we do see Primordius Rising going to be able to stall the objective, but inevitably, I do think Boot Troop are going to actually be able to take this one under their belts.
85% flip. Galaxy trying to get this point touch, but the two supports fight off the Tracer. Salmon, there's another MVP moment for your MVP, manages to hold off Galaxy here. You are going to have Bob and Pulse Bomb online. Ghostin having the sound barrier online too is going to be absolutely massive.
Oh, there's the Bob, and Molly is forced to like go back into this small space. You know what? They just decide we're going to go into your spawn area. We're just going to avoid the Bob altogether. Why walk away into the Bob if we can walk away from the Bob with the sound barrier in tow?
You know, and Jeremy has swapped off of the Pharah onto this venture. I would say that they've been really known for this entire series so far, managing to get back to their team. Galaxy probably going to have a big time Pulse Bomb if Primordius wants to flip it this fight.
I mean, they're only around halfway to completion here. Primordius Rising, they do have Pulse Bomb at the very least, but it comes down to how are they going to play the neutral, and Jeremy once more is a constant menace on this venture. They find Daddy early, though. Galaxy does get a Pulse Bomb onto Jeremy's exit, though, so it's a little bit of a trade that I think Boots were able to take, especially if you're going to be layering that up with the Dragon Blade from Constant. Now you can see Constant has to back up because there's a little too much damage output for him to effectively walk in and be aggressive with, but these fights are lasting a little bit too long that I'm not liking too much, but I love this Tidal Blast a lot from the side of Spec here. Primordius Rising need to care Sorks because Sorks is being walked on by this Orisa like it's nothing. We do see Primordius Rising setting the toes on the objective and on the Terror Surge again from Molly is just there.
And Molly just existing really hard on this Orisa in the direction of Primordius Rising. And I don't think we're going to have a touch here.
Wait, hold on. From the back comes the Tracer, and there Galaxy is. But do they have a recall? They do. Okay, good. Recall comes in, one blink, done, and I don't think anyone else can get there in time, especially when we get Galaxy out of the fray. I think Spec is also there on the Lucio. It comes down to the humble ball touch, and it does come in beautiful. The loop not there right quite in time. Okay, we're getting ping pong all over the place, and there's, that's it. Oh, that's it. What a series, but Boop Troop once again showcasing their prowess on control. That Orisa has been really an unsung hero in multiple of these fights, kind of forgotten about in the ban phase more often than not, and honestly could not have it any other way. What a showcase from Boop Troop. I mean, almost going down to the underdog, right? But they brought it back in the best way they knew how. Lock Orisa and pray.
And they did a fantastic job of doing just that. Now again, that was a 2-0 on that control map, but same as Lijiang Tower, it was insanely close. Both points were like 100 to 85%. It was just once Boop Troop got on point, they just kept stuffing Primordius Rising with that Orisa, not really allowing them to get going anywhere. And Orissa's really good at that, right? You can just sit there, spin your spear, and throw your spear and just force people into corners. And that's exactly what Molly was doing for the entirety of Nepal.
Yeah, and again, they kind of forgot that Molly is kind of the GOAT on Orisa, right? So, with that being said, this is the entire 7-map series, absolute bloodbath from Boop Troop. I mean, they got the 2-up. I mean, they were looking so good. The 2-0, and then they got, back and forth, and they finally closed it out strong in the end. Now, with that being said, look at the bans we had seen. I mean, there's, 14 bans we had seen, many unique ones, one repeat. Of course, Kiriko being fully banned out between map 2 and map 4.
Yeah, I mean, it's really looking like there's some potential here where you might be thinking, that Sigma ban might have been smarter than we thought because it stopped Primordius from being able to ban that Orisa, right? So it was one of those two-pronged bans that we saw throughout the entirety of this series, where they were banning something out, saving one of their heroes while also preventing the thing that could potentially stop their Orisa, right? Like, because if you were to play a Sigma into the Orisa, it would probably be a little bit more difficult for that Orisa to stuff a Sigma in a corner.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you there, and it's Orisa. You're playing Orisa into Nepal, and she can you saw multiple times happen where Molly was just kind of spinning Captain Crunch in the corner, and Captain Crunch literally just couldn't do anything but hold block, and then get speared out of the block, and then while that's happening over there in the back line, there's a Genji on everybody at all times. So with that being said, Boop Troop, absolutely fantastic series to showcase for us. A 4-3 win here, so they can bleed. And they have bled, but they do stand tall in the Gladiator ring against Primordius Rising, whom also showed some real prowess. But as always, for the grand finals, for these exits as well, we do have not only the winner interview from Boop Troop, but we also are going to have some final words with a representative from Primordius Rising. So back-to-back interviews coming your way on the other end of this break.
Got lots of love. Got lots of love. Got lots of love.
7 map Shadow. 7 maps is what we just endured coming in from Boop Troop versus Primordius Rising. And as I said, we're gonna have a little chat with Primordius Rising as they exit second place, but not empty-handed. They do get $500 as a second place prize in the NA Open, and I'm happy to introduce Galaxy here to kind of walk us through what was an incredible almost 3 hours of gameplay. Galaxy, walk me through what happened at the end.
You know, we're feeling pretty confident in ourselves because we're like, this is the farthest any team has pushed boot camp, and like we thought we had it. I don't know, we tend to play worse against like Rush, and like coming into Nepal, I wasn't that excited since Nepal's like my worst map, and I just knew they were gonna play some sort of Rush, which they did. But I'm still proud of our team. We did good against it.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely say the same. Y'all did fantastic here tonight. So I guess to reflect back a little bit here, what was the thing that changed between your round, between your Charmy? Okay, Charmy has been added as well, it looks like.
Hi, Charmy.
So I guess I'll ask both of you this question then. What happened after that first round loss to Zodiacs? Because y'all just went on an absolute tear to get your way here to the grand finals.
Galaxy,
I wasn't a part of that, so
I wasn't a
can't
part of it
answer.
either, but from what I've heard, we didn't have our full roster at the time. It was very like scrappy and put together when we played the Zodiacs.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes a good bit of sense then, because y'all went, like I said, y'all ran through the entirety of that lower bracket. And then I guess my last question would be, what are y'all planning to? What are y'all thinking at the moment right now? Are y'all thinking about potentially running it back, trying to get back to this point again, but then win it next time? Where's your head at right now?
Money. I'm thinking straight about the money that's about to hit my account. This Wingstop I'm about to order, these voodoo fries I'm about to down, it's all my mind's on.
Yo, low key, I'm right there with you. Like,
That's all I'm thinking about right now.
What flavor wings you trying to get out of Wingstop?
Hot honey rub, chicken sandwich, and dip it in the ranch. Bang.
yeah, you
there
big,
go.
yeah,
That's the play.
yeah, you like me.
Yep.
To see why we lost. I'm starting to see why we lost.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I was actually planning on leaving this team after this season.
Me too.
But after going to map 7, having that much fun, playing against a good team, I think I'll run it back. I'm not quite sure.
You did insane.
Yeah.
Well, whatever you decide, you know that we're always going to support you guys. You guys, as you mentioned, no one else has brought Boop Troop basically to their knees. No one else has made them fold the way you guys made them fold, especially from map 3 and onwards. Putting them in overtime rounds, playing them through quite literally hell, honestly, especially into, like, everything you guys put at them and threw at them whenever possible. So I think, first of all, you won money, so GG's, right? So that's a nice thing to note. And you guys basically gave them a map loss per round that they went undefeated in, which is, I think, something also super impressive from you guys, who again, you lost your first round and you made the unthinkable happen. You made that lower bracket run into that grand finals, and that is genuinely something to commend you guys for. From the prod side of things, from staff as well, we are so proud of you, and quite literally, wherever you guys go next, you will always have our support. Now, enough of me being sappy and all that jazz. I need to ask you guys your shout-out questions. So who do you guys want to give a shout-out to on the broadcast for your final appearance on CGL Season 16?
Yeah, you can go first, Galaxy, bro. That's you.
Okay. Well, I'd like to shout out Captain Crunch specifically. He's a good friend of mine and the reason why I have so much fun. So That's really all. And the rest of my team, they played great.
I really didn't. Shout out to my girlfriend, Nelly, and shout out to Captain Crunch, and just my whole team. Crunch, Spec, Galaxy did insane. I don't know. That was my first time really playing support. I'm a DPS player, but we didn't have anybody else for it.
Oh wow, you popped off. My bad. Okay.
I didn't do very good. I could have played a lot better.
I'm not gonna take that on this broadcast. You guys did amazing, and you're gonna tell yourself that as long as possible, because y'all did absolutely fantastic going into a team like Boop Troop, and again, bring them down to the wire. So with that being said, wherever you go next, we're right here to support you, and I would love to see where you guys, if you guys stay together, if you guys split apart, if you guys go other avenues. I'm excited for what the future holds for each and every one of you guys on Primordius Rising. But with that being said, I'll let you guys go. It's been a very long day. Go order some Wingstop and have a good night.
So true. Have a great night.
All right. With that being said, Shadow Fang, that's our exit interview all done and dusted. It's always so bittersweet to do them. But on a lighter note, we can talk about Boop Troop's win. We can talk to a representative from Boop Troop here. I believe they are in the chat. Yes, we have Consta coming up on deck here. Consta, bro.
Hello.
Bro, listen. I was excited to cast you guys because I had seen you guys from Face It Season 6 and onwards, right?
Yeah.
Playing absolutely out of your minds, and you know, you guys didn't come out unscathed, right? You guys came all the way to game number 7, and I would love to hear from the winner side of things. What were some of the hiccups that made this not as easy as your round 1, 2, and 3s earlier in the playoff bracket?
It was scary. I don't know. We didn't have our full roster either, so we kind of had to figure out who would play flex DPS, who would play hit scan, like what comps we would play. And I think just hit scan, especially recently, and then playing against console players or controller players who just have insane aim assist. I think it was actually buffed today as well.
Yes, by 7%, yeah.
Just makes it really hard. I don't know, a circuit map against an Ashe that's just hitting every headshot, or a Tracer triple blinking and one clipping. It's just difficult to play against, and we didn't play against players who knew how to use it as well before, I guess.
And yeah, I mean, it seemed like. Tell me, did you feel like when y'all just ran a rush comp and didn't give them time to set up, was that really the key to, allowing, like you said, the hit scan that couldn't miss a shot? It's like, oh well, here's how we deal with it. We're just gonna run them down and not allow them to set up.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's how we play in general anyways, because we have a Venture player and I like playing Genji, so we just going in. But yeah, definitely that was the solution. I guess we just play better macro to beat it.
Yeah, definitely could see that over the course of the series. And I guess a final question here. Do you feel more relief or happy at the moment that you were able to pull the series out? Which one are you feeling at the moment?
I feel relief, bro. I can't lie, I don't feel the happiness yet, but I mean, I'm happy about the money. I think it would have been. I think it would have been really sad if we had lost today. We did not expect to lose, and that was scary. That was actually scary, but we're happy with how it ended.
Mm-hmm.
No, I can definitely imagine you guys were sweating a little bit after y'all went from 2-0 to 2-2, and then we went to 3-3. I know y'all were
especially
sweating.
the new Junk City, should have won that too. Whatever.
Hey, listen, it's the past, because you won $1,500 for the team.
Sir.
So you know what? That's what I'm talking about. Exactly. I'm dapping you up to the camera.
Let's go.
So with that in mind,
it's
and
cool.
No, it's
Yeah.
it's you're all good, you know. It's nice, you know, having the
Yep.
relief and then like, oh my God, I have money. We're so bad. But as your final question, as always, just so I can let you go, 'cause I know it's been a very long game of Overwatch 2, very much longer than the average person. I'm sorry for you, but in all seriousness, who do you want to give a shout out to on the broadcast?
Um, I don't know. I guess my teammates Molly played really well.
Yeah, out of her
Um,
mind.
and also the opponents they played well. Galaxy is insane. Shout out our managers who have put like a lot of time. Like they sub for us. Just our substitutes in general. Like we had a lot of people who had to like fill in for others. So thank you, Max and Doc, and Shark Candy for playing today. And yeah, that's it.
No, I thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for putting on genuinely one of the best, I think, if not the best grand finals we've had on the broadcast. No bias,
Yeah.
of course. You know, whatever. I didn't cast it, whatever. It's no bias, but really fantastic series. Game
Yeah.
7, and almost going down, but y'all brought it back in the end. A very beautiful 2-0 fashion. And again, give my kudos to Molly because her flexibility to play almost any tank is actually like must be studied. So really well done from all of you, and I cannot wait to see you guys continue to compete in the future.
Thank you for hosting this. Thank you for casting. It was very fun.
Of course, and I'll see you later.
Yep. Bye bye.
Bye bye. What do you mean that's it? What do you mean that's it? What do you mean that's it of NA Open? Like, I hate it here. Can we go back? Can we go back like 3 hours and start the stream again?
Well, you can actually. The VOD is going to be up for at least a little while, so you'll be able to click back on there. I think it's still on the YouTube channel too. You might be able to go back, save it in your favorites potentially if you really enjoyed the series like that. So you know you got some options.
You absolutely do, but we have one option, and that is to close out what has been a fantastic broadcast. Really good energy from our players. I mean, I think that was maybe one of the first times I've had a team shout out the other team as one of their shout outs. That's one of the first time I've ever, and that's just like really shows the community aspect of these really high level tournaments. Again, NA Open is usually reserved for your GM champ players that scrim at the highest level and really showcasing that finesse and understanding of the game. And genuinely, Boot Troop and Primordius Rising both showcase such intimate understanding of the game and what they and how they played it. That it was just fantastic. But on that note, Shadow, that is all we have for everybody. Thank you so much for sticking with us for 3 hours now. 4-3 is Boot Troop. They are your NA Open CGL Season 16 winners, taking home $1,500 for the team. And with that being said, we're going to let you guys go. Have a wonderful night and tune in for the rest of the week for the rest of our grand final matches throughout all the rest of our divisions. We'll see you guys later.